Welcome to another episode of The Flank. I'm joined by my friend, my companion, my duo. You guys already know. How you doing, Ben? Benjay Nissim.
What up, Tom?
What are you doing? Who you texting over there?
I got a text. Sorry, I had to respond to the
Ben
text.
is a busy guy. This guy's always working.
It was a work text, bro. Got to respond to that.
Ben,
can't be getting fired.
I actually want to start off the show today a little bit different.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a few questions.
Ask me a few questions, okay?
I want people to get to know you a little bit more because I'm reading on social media a little bit, Twitter, Reddit.
Yeah.
People don't know much about you, Ben. And I know we talked about it before, but I want to talk about it right now. Because we got some people joining in. We got people joining, and I want people to know who you are. Tell them a little bit about yourself. How did we meet? What you're doing now? Just your what you've been doing in the COD scene over the years. Just break it down. Let them know.
Yeah, so you and I met, I think, for the first time at UMG Dallas in AW, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, like, my history before that was I kind of, like, just started, just on the side. Like, I got good friends with Clay, and I started to mod his chat, and I was also working for, like, Optic Intel at the time. And so I was flying around to, like, AW events and shit, covering that. So I was friends with Clay, and I met you like when he joined FaZe, obviously, and we became good friends. At one point in Black Ops 3, I was an analyst for you guys in the early days of Black Ops 3, helping set the meta, picking bans, all that fucking bullshit. Mm-hmm. Did that for a bit, stopped. I went back to doing like IRL work, boring shit. And then some point at the endish of IW, when all those moves went down, when you guys picked up Pierce, I came on to kind of like quasi-coach, but also mostly manage the team. Did that for a bit. Then I was basically the head of like North American operations for FaZe Clan in terms of esports. So I oversaw the Call of Duty team, oversaw the Fortnite team. I was also dealing with some FIFA stuff. There were a few other things I was doing. Did that for like a year and a half. That was super fun, super cutting edge. And now I work for a little company called Esports Engine. A lot of all the people that came from, as you guys might know, Major League Gaming. Found a new company in 2019. I work for them. I'm a manager of client relations. So I do two different things. One is I manage a lot of client accounts, many of them that I can't talk about because they're unannounced projects. But then I also help make sure that we execute those projects internally. So it's really cool. It's like super cutting edge. We're like kind of pushing the boundaries of esports and doing a bunch of like awesome shit. And I love the job. I miss FaZe Clan too, but I love my current job, and yeah, that's the breakdown, T.
Yeah, man, it's incredible how much you've accomplished over the years, man. I think sometimes you got to give yourself a little bit more credit. I mean, guys, that's phenomenal stuff. He's worked for some fucking big guys. You know what I'm saying? Ben's done a lot of stuff, and he's still pushing and working. And now we got him on the show. And guys, he's a smart guy. There's a reason why I wanted to introduce you all to Ben. Yeah, there's a reason why I wanted to bring Ben on. There's a reason why I always wanted to do a show with Ben. I just think that we work well off each other, Ben. I'm a little crazy. I could be high energy sometimes. Yesterday, we got some complaints for me cutting you off again. So
I don't mind. I cut you off all the time.
Yeah,
so
but for some reason, it's always me they bitch about. So, today I wanted to give you some love, and I want people to understand why Ben's here and why I got him on the show. And he's just a smart guy to have on, guys. He's a smart guy, and he knows a lot about COD. He's been around the game for a long time, and he's been behind the scenes with a lot of these pro teams. So he knows how a lot of stuff works. And he's just a good voice to have on the show. So it's always a pleasure to get Ben on the show. But
always a pleasure to hop on, Tom, and talk about some Call of Duty here.
Yeah,
Where do you want to start today?
I don't know.
Shit went down.
A lot of stuff went down. A lot of stuff went down. But the number one thing that I want to talk about today is the slide cancel nerf. Because I think this nerf is going to change the game drastically. But I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see. I think it's a combo of the slide canceling nerf and then all of the weapon balance stuff, like especially if subs are slower and ARs are faster. Like all the things we're going to see here shortly. And I saw that Spencer Peterson, head of player relations on the CDL side, tweeted that, at least in regards to CDL, they're going to play in a new patch next week. It will slow the game down. But at the same time, like, I don't know if we're going to see that much of a change in terms of like the order of the teams. Like, there's always this weird perception when this shit comes around, like always this talking point, those slower teams get better. It's not like the faster teams can't all just run ARs and gun people still and hit cameras. Like, just because the slide's out, there are still ways for you to try and take like low percentage challenges and try and put them in your favor. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, good teams will do a good job of front running, and the bad teams who can't break kills, especially in our point, or break objectives, are going to struggle. So I'm very curious to see what happens, Tom. I wouldn't say there's an easy way to predict which teams are going to get worse and which teams are going to get better.
I can't. Yeah, I'm not going to come out and say this team's going to be worse, this team's going to be better, nothing. But I disagree with you. I think some teams are going to hurt from this. I think some of these faster teams that maybe rely on just like over challenge stuff and just kind of running and gunning, it could hurt them. It could not hurt them, but it's definitely going to change some things. Things are definitely going to change. I mean, you legit can't slide cancel camera a corner anymore. Like, that's a serious thing, Ben.
Well, hold on. We have to see how this works in practice. You know, a patch drops, and then like 6 hours later, people figure out a new slide cancel.
Well,
so
here's the thing.
Let's pump the brakes here for a sec.
And that's what I was going to say. Now, the movement's still there. The sliding is still there and everything. So we got to give it some time to see what these pro players do with it, because pros and especially some of the top players, they always find ways to use the movement to their advantage, right? Especially people like Shotzi and Cell and some of these top players. But we got to see, man, because if they can't do certain things, if they've really, really nerfed it, then I think it's really going to change the game. I think it's really going to slow it down. And plus, now I'm hearing subs are slower. Are SMG slower?
That was a hot rumor on the street when this note dropped. So got to see on the new patch like what the situation here. Maybe we'll watch some elite matches and see what's going on. But like, yeah, Tom, like, I'm very curious if maybe we move towards like a 3 Krieg, 4 Krieg meta. If like the Krieg's still insane on 60 hertz. Like, I'm very curious kind of what happens here. Especially next week once the pros kind of really take a crack at it on the new patch.
Yeah, for sure. And I've talked to some of the pros already about this. I was talking to some of the pros last night, and they think the game is going to be completely changed. I don't really want to name who I was talking to. I mean, I could. Who was it? I think it was like Slack, Donato, TJ. There was a bunch of people, just a bunch of pros. You know what I'm saying? Just a bunch of pros in the team speak. And I was asking them, and they were like, "Yeah, it's just the slide cancel's done. It's fucking done. It's gonna slow it down." And Zinni tweeted out methods. He ended up tweeting out last night saying World War II was back. I think he might have dragged it a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely dragged, but Zin's always making jokes on Twitter. He's trying to get in the mix.
Zinni's always doing some stupid shit. Yeah. But I obviously haven't watched much with the new update yet, so I'm excited to see some teams go at it with the new update and see if the movement's a big factor or not. But we'll see. I think that's something we really got to start thinking about here, Ben, and see if it impacts any of the teams at all. But we could go into the next announcement, guys. I see a lot of you guys put in the chat. We got Tupac_Thuglord. He's joined Atlanta FaZe as a search and destroy coach. Announced on Crowder Hours today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is big news, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about it, right? So 2 pieces. One is there's a lot of pre-existing relationships here. I know Tupac is good friends with Tyler, aka Beezy. He obviously coached RCDs last year when he was an analyst on the Huntsman team. And look, ATL, and they've talked about this, they really struggled in S&D last stage. And I think this again goes back to like why I've always kind of praised this org, because they've always been willing to go out and dig deep and build up their coaching staff. And they're going to get more dangerous now. Because you know what Tupac's going to bring, Tom? You know he comes in, he brings the creativity. You know they're going to have the cutting-edge defaults. They're going to have some good set plays. They're already good situational COD players. If you give them that extra leg up in like the homework side and actually like being and setting the meta, like they just get dangerous again in S&D, man. So I'm very surprised that he got to this point without getting picked up by another team.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. I saw somebody in the chat. What's so big news about this? First of all, buddy, Atlanta FaZe just picked up another person on their roster. I know it's not a player, but coming from a team who's struggled in a certain game mode and picking up an expert in that game mode, you got to think it. As Zinni would say, you know, if FaZe can figure out their S&D, they're going to be scary. And now that they have a big S&D guy who's been playing S&D all year, I know Tupac is an S&D grinder. He bleeds S&D. That's his fucking bread and butter. He's going to teach these guys the ropes. He's going to show them, you know, what the best S&D players do. He's probably going to have some tips and tricks here for them. They're really going to start focusing on that game mode. And when you have a team like Atlanta FaZe really focusing on their weakest game mode, you got to think these guys could come out and be really strong, guys. They could come out and be really fucking strong. I see a lot of people in the chat saying he's overrated. LPAC. I don't know why you guys all hate the guy.
Why are people saying Tupac's like always been considered probably one of the top, if not second, top 2 like S&D analysts or S&D like kind of meta setters in the last couple of years.
And he's very well respected between a lot of the players. Like a lot of the players just respect him, and they respect him of who he is as a person and a player. So, I mean, I think this is a good pickup for FaZe. You know, whether you guys like it or not, I think it's a good one. I think it's a good one, Ben. And I'm excited to see what he does with the team moving forward. And I'm excited to see if their S&D maybe gets a little bit better here, because it hasn't been looking the best.
Their S&D has to get better. I mean, they really struggled last stage. And I just think, you know, from talking to players, I got the sense, and I don't know if you kind of got the same read, Tom, that they were just like not always comfortable with some of like what they wanted to do on the map. Like their teamwork was just a little bit off. It felt like they were just kind of searching for picks, and they weren't like really moving as a team well. And I think Tupac will bring another voice in the room that they'll respect, and they're gonna set the meta in pro S&D, and that's gonna make them very dangerous. I mean, we've seen they got better in control last split. Their hard point's really good. Like, they get back to being a dominant S&D team again, man. It's gonna be really tough.
Yeah, it's gonna be a scary sight. Scary fucking sight. Next, Ben.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about still, but we're gonna start with the little things first. Not really so little, but we're seeing some changes, Ben. One to the FAR, which is a pretty good gun. It was a pretty good gun in the past, just wasn't the best, so people weren't using it. But now they're adding, making some changes to it.
Yeah.
Some of the things they're doing: reduced recoil penalties on task force barrel attachment by 10% total. Increased bullets added to 34 round magazine attachment from 34 to 38.
Isn't task force banned? Isn't it GA'd? I know it's GA'd on other guns. I don't know
on
if
the
it's GA'd
subs.
I don't know if it's GA'd across all.
I don't know.
weapons.
I don't know exactly how the GAs work with that. I can find out more about that, but I know for 100% it is on those. No, you're good. Reduced reload speed penalty on the 34 round magazine attachment from 10% to 5%. Increased bullets added to 38 round speed magazine attachment from 34 to 38. And reduced ADS speed penalty on 38 round speed magazine attachment from 20% to 10%. Now, this is all a bunch of fugazi anyway. The only thing I'm really looking at is maybe like the reduced recoil, because I know that was the main problem with it, wasn't it? Didn't they up the recoil on it and make it a little bouncy? So I heard some pro players were trying out this FAR last night, and they were loving it. They were liking it. It shoots really fast, and you could get some really, really quick kills with it. I don't know if any of you guys in the chat have tried this. I'm curious to see what you guys think about the FAR, but just let me know. Fellow said it was ass. Okay, so somebody came in and said Fellow said it was ass. I know TJ told me he thought it was good. People are saying, all right, so we got somebody, it's nasty. Next guy, it's the same. Next guy, it's ass. Ben, the first three guys all had different opinions.
Yeah, we got to see. I mean, I'm curious. So, like, it'll be interesting, Tom, this week as pro teams play their second match or last match of the state of the week, and then they start scrimming on the new patch. We'll get a sense from teams of like where they're at. I know they play like on a, you know, I'm just curious to see what happens with the meta if the FAR does come into play, or if it's just like the Krieg is so good on 60 that it just kind of sticks. But very curious across all these changes, Tom, like if we're going to see a little bit of a shuffle in the weapons, if we're still at a 2-2 kind of 3-1, or if it's going to pretty much move to a 3-1 with 3 ARs, and then you're just going to have one sub player. Yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. I'm really excited to see what teams bring this upcoming week. But we also got some Krieg 6 changes. We got increased headshot multiplier from 1.25 to 1.4, reduced max damage from 35 to 33. Attachments added an ADS move speed bonus to the following barrel attachments for assault rifles: ultralight, contour M2, CMV mil spec. Ben, thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it's combo with if the subs are slower. I hope the Krieg is not fast from the subs, because that wouldn't make a lot of sense. I know that Manix was tweeting that they're looking into maybe some additional changes here, so we got to see how that sub Krieg versus AK-74U balance kind of works at the moment, because I think that's maybe a little bit backwards in terms of what you would expect.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down to you know, I heard the same thing as well. Maddox said that they were going to come and make more changes.
I think you replied to Parasite. If you look at Parasite's yes, I think that down there, yeah. Go scroll up. Scroll up. CDL Intel tweet right below that.
Oh, here we go. Right here. B Sports Josh. With the damage reduction, it has no impact. This was done for ease of tuning purposes.
That's something else. Go look at Parasite's mentions. I think he responded to Parasite last night.
All right, let me take a look. We go over to Parasite. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. He tweeted at Maddox.
No, Max like responded in a thread with him, I'm pretty sure. Just look at Maddox tweets then.
Okay, is it that important, Ben? Like, what is it?
No,
what
it's
did he
not.
say?
It's not. I'm just making.
No,
you
we don't
chase.
even. We don't need to. Who cares? Who gives a fuck?
I'm just making you chase on Twitter.
Yeah.
But regardless, like I think the sum of all this conversation is a bunch of weapon balances coming in. We need to see if the meta shifts now. If it's slower, if it's faster, no slide cancel, but hard to read if it's going to make teams better or not. Kind of sucks that some, with this patch landing, like some teams will play 2 games on the old patch, some games will play one game on the old patch. So very curious to see how it plays for week 2 and 3, and then into the major 3.
Yeah, we got Slasher Austin Liticote coming out. He said no slide looks incredible. Hopefully nobody figures out a way to break it again. Now just give subs their speed back, maybe 8% instead of previous 10, and give ARs a strafe. You gotta think a lot of the pros, some of the pros really like this change, Ben. Some of the pros really like it. They're not a fan of the slide cancel. I mean, as a viewer perspective, it might slow things down a little bit. I think it was always cool to see pros and
matches already slow down to begin with. Like
I know, but it would have been cool to I think watching COD and seeing the different skill base between movement, right? Like some people have just their slide cancels just look different, like it's a skill, right? I think it takes that skill away. That's the only argument I would really have to it. But on a competitive side of things, I mean, some people looked at like the slide canceling kind of like a broken mechanic type thing. I'm gonna be honest, if I was still playing, I'd probably love this because for me, I'm a fucking old head. I was tired of fucking slide cancel my hands and shit. So you gotta think maybe some of the young guys like it, some of the old guys or some of the young guys hate it, some of the older guys like it. At the end of the day, all the pros are gonna have different opinions, but I kind of like the slide cancel from a viewer perspective. But we'll see how much it changes and impacts the game. But I don't think it'll make, like Ben said, he doesn't think a lot of the team change.
It's so unpredictable with this thing. You don't know who's going to get better, who's going to get worse. Some people act like sub players can't get kills with ARs. We know that's patently false. So like I don't know. And I agree. Like maybe there's some teams where the teamwork is not as good. Like they take too many ego chows. It's going to kind of force them to like have to think more about trading and baiting and switching. So we'll have to see. There's also the backdoor if the PPSH is in play here. That might mix things up a bit. But you want to talk about the Reese Vivid situation with Chino here?
Yeah, so guys, this is what everybody's joining up for. I already know.
We talked about this on the last show, but now we actually got
things
official.
are a little bit different now. The last show we talked about it. It was obviously a rumor. We were kind of losing our heads a little bit. I just didn't understand it. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't understand it. Now we get official news that Vivid has been benched, and that Chino. Money Cheen is coming in from the academy team to replace Vivid. Silly has been moved to an SMG role, and we had an update from Coach Ricky and Coach Bevels themselves. And Ben, if you don't mind, I would like to play this for the stream.
Sure.
What's up, guys? I'm Bevels, head coach of LAG.
Hey guys, I'm Ricky, the assistant coach of LAG.
Recently, there has been some speculation about what our starting roster will be, and we wanted to take the time to answer some questions around that and provide some context. Going forward, Reese or Vivid will not be a part of our starting roster. Going into this year, we wanted to build a team that could be the best in some key areas, for instance, like strategy, preparation, teamwork. Those are all things we value very highly. And we brought in players that we think are excellent in those fields, and they bring a lot with their experience and their individual skill sets. Coming out of stage 2, we had some poor performances, to put it bluntly, in stage 2. There were a couple of bright spots in it, but overall, it was not anywhere near what we were looking for, especially with how we bowed out of the major. So we had identified some very key issues that we believe was preventing us from becoming the team that we think we are capable of being. And we talked with each player individually, and we all came to the conclusion that we would try and fix the issues that we had identified before moving on to a drastic change. Reese was given the option to stay on the roster. However, earlier this week, we ultimately decided that it would be in both parties' best interest to explore other options.
Moving on to stage 3, Chino will be moving from the academy roster to the pro team. He will be starting versus Paris on Saturday. We will also be moving Silly from an AR to a SMG role. Obviously, this is a last-minute change, but we do believe Chino will only bring positives to this roster.
Thank you to the fans for supporting us through this change and through these kind of this tough time that we've been going through. Ultimately, our end goal is to not only qualify for playoffs, but to be in a position to win playoffs. And that's what we're building up to until then. Thanks, guys, and we really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
All right, Tim. Okay.
Okay.
Let me begin.
Yeah.
First thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Are they fucking being held at gunpoint here?
I don't.
Is there a fucking
not-
gun? But what's going on here? They look like they're shitting their pants.
That was tough.
It looks like something's going on. They look a little terrified. Okay, that's gonna be my first point there. Okay.
Yeah.
Second point. They talked to everybody individually,
Yeah.
and they ended up coming to the conclusion to
Yeah.
get rid of their best player. Now, I hate saying friendship league, Ben, but this is screaming friendship league. Now, I don't understand how you could talk to everybody individually, and Reese Vivid is the one to go. That doesn't make any sense to me, guys. The only possible scenario that I could see have happened here was they talked to Reese, and Reese said, we're not looking good, and we should think about getting other players. The coaching staff might have disagreed. The other players on the team are definitely going to disagree because none of them want to lose their spot.
Yep.
And instead of Reese, just being okay with it, he probably lost his mind a little bit because he really wanted to change and he really wanted to see this team succeed.
Yeah.
And, I think Vivid is definitely the best player. They didn't take his opinion that seriously, and they said, listen, man, like, we're not changing. And maybe it was like a bench himself type thing, or maybe they benched him because they just like they didn't like how he was talking, or they didn't like the fact that he was talking about the trades, or maybe making some changes, or something fell out, Ben. Something fell out here, and then it doesn't make any fucking sense. What are they doing in this camp?
Yeah, Tom, I don't. Where do I even start here?
I don't know.
So someone's saying that Crone said on a Reddit post, so I'll let Tom try and figure that part out. But
What happened on a Reddit post?
Apparently Crone had some additional context here. He made some on Reddit. I don't know. If someone has it, tweet at us if you've got a link and we'll pull it up. But my initial thoughts are, if a situation went down where they were like, okay, Reese wants to make changes to the team, and they told him no. I'm very confused why Reese is not like the person they're building around, because I would think with this roster that would be the case. Does Reese Vivid play at lightning speed? Absolutely. Does Reese Vivid have a very high ceiling? Absolutely. And generally when you're a GM in your front office and you're in a position that they are with the team that they have, that would be the player that I would pick and say, okay, well, let's figure out how to get the team built around him. Instead, they're doing the thing, Tom, that you and I always have said is just the absolute wrong way to go about it. And we can sit here and list about 59 examples of where the circle of the wagons for the 59th time, I'm exaggerating, for the second or third time with teams that have teamed before, doesn't work the second or third time around. And it makes everybody who does it look like an idiot. And I don't want to 100% put all my eggs in the basket with this team because a lot can happen between now and then, but I don't see this move. I love Money Cheen.
Me too.
He's a great guy.
First of all, I like everybody on the team.
Consummate professionals in the Call of Duty scene. Consummate professional. I don't know about you, Tom, but I've been watching their LAG Academy team play, and they've got some other guys on the roster who may have been better as a sub, and they could have kept Silly as a flex. I don't know if I necessarily agree with bringing Cheen in. Maybe their thought process is it's going to be a little bit more plug and play with Cheen. He sort of kind of gets it. And then we just sort of go from there. Maybe we make a few more changes. But I mean, in my eyes, I wouldn't have made this change. I would have tried to figure out how to make it work with Reese. And then maybe it means that some of the other players on the team get cut or get moved to the bench. But I think benching Reese is the wrong decision here.
Now, this is where I get a little weird, okay? Because management has full power here. Full power. And if you're management, you're looking at this team, and even the coaching staff, right? You gotta just see how they're performing in practice, how they're coming together. I don't think Reese had any problems with anybody on the team personally. I don't think there's anything going on. I think Reese just said, listen, we're shit and we need to change. I think that's all it came down to. And maybe some words were exchanged and maybe some things were said and they ended up just having a fallout and just benching Reese. But sometimes under management, you got to make these decisions. You got to think what's going to make your team the best team possible. And I saw it on Reddit, and in the title of the post was, why are they playing it? They don't. If they're not even going to be playing for a championship, you know what I'm saying? Now, granted, these guys, they have this whole gimmick around them, right? The World War II team, the COD champs. First of all, we should have won that fucking world championship.
Also, that
but
was
that's just me being.
There's a lot of years between now and then.
I know. That's what you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, first of all, that was me just being salty. But I thought we were the best team there. Second of all, that was years ago, fucking years ago. Now it's a whole different generation, new generation. A lot of new players are coming up. There's just a lot going on now, guys. And it just the decision just confuses me. It confuses me. And now I worry about, okay, well, what's Vivid gonna do? What does he do now? Does he just ride the fucking bench the whole year now?
Reese is if I'm Reese's agent, I'm telling you, you're in a great spot, brother. Because one of three things are gonna happen here, right? The team's gonna work out, but you fried. So then in the off season, you get the bag. The second option is at some point, it's probably not right now. It's probably when LAG, if this team doesn't work, they need to make further changes. Reese is going to be a very hot commodity on the trade market because I believe from my understanding, I don't think he signed an extension with the team. So he's on the last year of his deal. There are a lot of teams that really need a sub player or an upgrade at that position. And he's in a position we've always talked about with these trades where like he can go to a team with the wink that he's going to sign an extension, and then that makes sense for them to trade for him, and they're sending other pieces back to go help LAG.
Mm-hmm.
Or the third thing is the team doesn't work, and he's just back in the starting lineup, and he wins that argument. So I don't think Reese should be sitting here like crying over anything. I think he proved that he's a very talented player in this league and is a very good prospect and one of the best sub players statistically the last couple of stages. I guess just LAG decided they maybe need to find a player that fits their system, but I mean, I'm always skeptical of those type of moves.
Actually,
if you're not going for pace, if you're going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I actually got you said Crone had said something on Reddit.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat, it was Indy MJC. So thank you very much, Indy. Dropped this in the chat, and here's Crone on Reddit. He said, "What I heard was Vivid asked for a team change multiple times. They said no. The last time he asked, he said something like, 'We need a change. If they change, has to be me. Then so be it.' So they said bet and benched him. Not sure if you consider that benching yourself. I also did hear he just straight up benched himself. I guess it depends on how the conversation went and how exactly it was worded." And that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm like, I think Vivid had a talk with them and was trying to get a change, like I said, and they had a fallout. Maybe some words were exchanged. Maybe they somehow, got into an argument. And ultimately, it ended up him getting benched. Now, I don't think Reese went in there and said, "You know what? We're making a change, or you could throw me on the fucking bench." I don't think Vivid said that. I think Vivid said, "I want to change, and I think this team needs to change if we want to win. And if that change needs to be me, then get rid of me." But something needs to happen here, and this team's just not working out. And the fact that they just benched their best player because they were being told stuff that they didn't want to hear and bring in another guy, that makes me lose full. That pisses me off a little bit, Ben. And you got to think here. If I'm Vivid, I'm a little pissed off. They should be showing a little bit more respect to the, I thought this was their guy. I thought I thought Vivid was their fucking guy. This year they built around him. They built around him this year. This is his team. This was his bread and butter. And now it's like a big slap in the face. Now, granted, maybe the coaching staff and management thinks that this team is capable of winning championships. If they think that, then fuck it. Let them do what they got to do, and let's see if they can prove us wrong. Like you said, Ben, I like everybody on LAG. I have no problem with anybody there. I like Silly. I like Assaw. I love App. Right? Brian's a fucking good ass dude. I love all those guys. But let's be honest. They're not putting the results that everybody wants to see. They're not. They're just not.
I mean, my thought here, Tom, is like it shouldn't never get to this spot. And I also don't think that Reese is in the wrong here, because anyone watching this team would tell you that, like, look, as much as they've had some high points, they beat Thieves in that winners round one in stage one. They went on that run. They beat FaZe, and who else they beat after FaZe? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
They both beat another team, and they had a good stretch of 2 games there. Outside of that, it's been kind of ugly for the team, and they haven't placed that great in the majors. So like, I would have said from Reese's POV, he's probably right in that argument, but that's also kind of on the coaching staff to not let the relationship get to that point where they have put in a position now where they've got to bench their best player. That's just not how it should go down. And I think for LEG and for the players on the team, like, you've now picked your bed to lie in. Hopefully this team move works out for them, because if not, they're going to be in the wilderness as a team, Tom. Because they'll made this change. And then what? You put Reese back on the team? Well, he's not going to be happy that you're calling him back up.
And the thing
the
is,
chemistry
too,
between the players is not going to be what it was before. But go ahead, Tom.
And the thing is, too, they're talking about a little bit, we want teamwork and strategy. Like this guy said in this post right here that I got. We want teamwork and strategy and preparation. Was Vivid Reese not bringing that? Was he not trying to bring the teamwork and the strategy and the preparation? And I know Vivid, and he's a grinder. That guy likes to play. So I don't really know where their headspace was at. It sounds like to me they just didn't want to change, and Vivid did. And because they had a fallout, they just said, okay, we're gonna bench Vivid because he wants to change, and they brought somebody in. Are you okay?
No, I have a big problem with that line about they want their team to be known for teamwork, strategy, and preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, here's a memo to you. Every team should be doing those three. That if I were in the front office of a CDL team, I am expecting every single team 1 through 12 in the league to be putting in teamwork, game planning for the team they're going to play against, and preparing for that game plan.
Yep.
That should not be the like line where we're trying to like achieve. Like that is our goal. That is like expected of the players on the lineup.
And I also now this brings me all this other bullshit we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Brings me in right into my next point.
Yeah.
They pick up Money Cheen and they move Chino, guys. Money Cheen is Chino, and they move fucking Silly over to a submachine gun role. So
Silly can run a sub, but he was frying. He was playing decent.
And that
and a good
was
stretch on
my
the flex.
next point, Ben. That was my next point. This guy Silly was playing some of the best COD he's ever fucking played. Now they're gonna change roles. Now they're gonna pick up. They have all the people in the world to pick up. They got all these guys on their academy team. They got all these amazing players and challengers. But they're gonna pick up an AR player. That just now, guys. I love Chino, and I think Chino is a great player. I think he's gonna bring positive vibes to this team. I think he's gonna be a positive impact on a team, and I think Chino deserves to be in the league. There's simply just not enough teams. There's not enough spots to go around, so it sucks for him. But the change doesn't make sense. Get rid of your best sub player. Bring in another AR player to match, which, I mean, let's be honest here. The team doesn't have a lot of pace to begin with. You're bringing in another slow AR player, and you're moving Justin Silly over to a sub role when he was just playing his best COD. So now people are questioning the change.
Yeah.
They're questioning why even bench Vivid, and now people are even questioning the pickup because it has nothing to do with Chino's talent, what he brings as a player. But it just doesn't. I don't know if the team composition makes any fucking sense here. I really don't.
I mean, I don't know. I think maybe their thought process is like, we've got good chemistry with Chino. Let's roll with it and see where we go. But I agree with you. Like, when you build a team like that, you better be front running in respawn. And by the way, Merc was on the show yesterday, I think, Tom, and pointed out their control record if you take out raid. I forget what it was. I believe they had like one win and like 9 losses or something really, really terrible. So like, it's not like they're actually like in a really good position and control to begin with. And their S&D was good last stage, but like, again, if you're not like gonna win a respawn, you have to win both. You know, if you're gonna win one respawn and 2 S&Ds, that is really tough. Mm-hmm. Pulling off like some kind of 2-3-5 or 2-4-5 is like not the easiest way to win. So I think this is a big dice roll on their part. And I also think the downside of this move is way higher than the upside of this move. I don't think the ceiling of this team is like significantly higher now. And I do think the floor could be significantly lower. And that's where I'm struggling to kind of see the upside of this move right now.
It just doesn't make any fucking sense, Ben. Let's just say it how it is. This change makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense. Oh, the only thing that I can see from this change is like I said before, there was a fucking fallout. And it's disappointing to see. Because Vivid's a great player. And LA Guerrillas had a great player on their side. And if they're going to listen to anybody on the team, maybe it should be their best player. So at the end of the day, to end things, I like LAG. I like everybody there. I'm a big fan of Vivid, obviously. But I wish them the best. We'll see if they can prove us wrong. And if they do, I'll be here apologizing, saying that they proved us wrong. But I just don't think it's gonna work. I don't see this team going anywhere near the podium. I don't.
Here's my last point, Tom. We have talked for was it on the show now for a month or whatever. in 2 months. I don't remember how long it's been. We have talked since like the first episode of the show with LAG. Like they are in a prime spot to become a very good team next year. If they just stick it out, they can build back very quick. A lot of other teams are in unstable positions. Not sure what they're going to do in free agency market. We got like players like Awakening who are going to hit the market, that they're going to have a lot of suitors. And you would think that having Reese Vivid on the team, a sub player that's reliable, that you know is going to slay, is a big plus for any big free agents that are going to come, because that duo or trio is really hard to come by. And now you're in a position where if this team doesn't work, and someone like, I don't know, Slasher or Sam Octane are coming in and they want to build a new roster, I don't think he's teaming with Assault, Silly, Apathy. You know what I mean? Like, so they're in a position where they got to clean house quickly, and that's why I struggle to see the validity of this move here.
Yeah,
the best out.
I mean, at the end of the day, guys, probably one of the most hated decisions ever made. I think a lot of people are up in arms. Pitchforks are out. People are fucking going crazy in the streets and shit.
The only move that I think like people hated worse, and we're proving right, was the Seattle team last year. People did not like that move, and that ended up being a better roster. And then I don't know if you remember the EG roster in World War II.
Yeah,
people were not fans of that roster.
Yeah, they weren't
roster
fans
did
of
not
it.
work.
Yeah, and again, they somehow came out and won the world championship. But
with a totally different team after making a lot of changes.
True. But to go on to my next question and be the last point of this topic, what do you see Vivid doing now? Where do you see him going? You think he's gonna ride the bench, ride the wave, just chill the fuck out, play some challenges for a little while, or do you see this guy moving ships, finding another home, and maybe getting bought out or something? We know how difficult that can be. Maybe see a trade or something.
I don't think if you're LG, I don't think you buy him out, because he's a piece. Like, there are a lot of teams that are in unstable positions, especially the SMG lineup, or at like the 3 at like, or I guess we're gonna like basketball now call it the 3, the flex. So like Seattle's one people talking about. Looney, I like Dan, but like if they want to upgrade, Reese is an option. So here's my thought process: is there's probably no trade market right now, because there's no reason for LAG to take a player back, right? They've just committed to putting Chin in. So if that LAG situation gets worse, then suddenly LAG might be looking for a dramatic change, and they're looking to get 1 or 2 players to change their lineup up. So that's maybe when Reese Vivid could be as part of some kind of 2-for-1 swap. But you have to think about a team, like if you're trading for him and you're sending cash in another direction, and then you're on top of that going to have to pay to extend him, like there's more costs that you're sinking there to like make that move happen. So I'm curious. And you got Sib in the chat. Like Sib's someone that should be getting picked up by this team.
Yeah.
Tom Gravity's someone that should be getting picked up by this team.
Sib will be on one eventually. He will. So, I think a lot of people are just using the attitude thing as an excuse now. But you got to think one of these days Sib will find himself on a team.
You want to talk about this fire move?
I want to talk about this. So CDL Intel, they tweeted out at Intel Call of Duty. If you guys are not following them already, they tweeted Fire will be joining Decimate, Slacked, and Methods on Fantastic 4. Dave Patty is taking a break from competing. Now, right away off this tweet, the first thing that comes to mind is Dave Patty. What's going on with him? Why is he taking a break from competing? We actually have Zinni who wants to join in. Let's bring him in.
User was
Zinni!
What's up, Zinni? What's good, Zen?
What's going on?
RP bro. All right.
Zinni, what's going on with your team? I see Dave Patty taking a big fucking break.
So Dave has quit for the time being. I'm not at liberty. I mean, if he wants to come out and say why, that's up to him. There was nothing, like there was no fight. He just genuinely sent us a long text, and he has some stuff going on. He's taking a step away. And we're playing with fire now. So I wish the best for Dave. We played shortly, but he's a good kid. He's a good player, and shout out fire alarms.
That's good. I hope everything's okay with Dave Patty.
Fire alarms.
Yeah. I hope everything's okay with Dave Patty, man. Wish him the best. Hopefully everything's good. Zen, I saw the fire alarm went off yesterday in the match.
I couldn't believe it. You gotta think, Tom. Listen, the truth is, who knows? But I'm saying we definitely would have had a way better chance of winning that map. It was our host, our map pick, And literally, I stopped playing mid-game because I have my fire alarm blaring in my ear.
Hey, what are you gonna do? I heard the fire alarm. I was wondering what the fuck was going on. I thought I was
hearing shit. Think about how loud
shit.
it must have been for me. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to focus. I got fucking this blaring in my ear. We got P2 rotation. I stopped playing because
I
of
would
it.
have
Just a
lost my
disaster.
fucking mind. I would have lost my fucking mind. But
then obviously we lose 6-4 last map. The 4-piece. Tom, you saw the 4-piece though?
I saw the
4-piece was
4-piece. I saw it. And I fucking saw it.
We reacted live on stream watching it.
Yeah, I was watching it live. I don't know who was in here yesterday,
It was
but
like me, you, Ben Banch was in the room.
Lance was in here?
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Lance
we were
Ben
watching.
Banch was in here.
Yeah, we
What'd
were
he say?
watching. Nothing. He didn't say
Oh,
jack shit.
he was giving you some gas.
Oh yeah, I mean he was. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean he gave you some gas, but he didn't go crazy. You know what I'm saying, Jen?
No,
I
Ben,
mean, to be
everybody,
honest,
everybody went crazy.
It
What
was
are
a
you
pretty
talking
easy 4-piece.
I went crazy.
I got
I
3
went
free
nuts.
kills. It was,
Yeah, but you still gotta
I
win the gunfights, even though you're taking single
Yeah, no,
shots.
I got 3 free kills, and then I sort of handled Tom a little bit. That was a
Yeah,
good
the
win
last
against
one was a
Tom.
big win. Last one was a big win for sure. But
I
how
also
you
would have had an
feeling?
easy 1v2. I fucked it. I'm pissed we lost, Tom. I hate losing. I despise it.
I know you
Especially
don't
when I
like
feel like we
losing,
should be
Zin.
winning.
I know, but how do you feel with this new team? You feeling good? You feeling confident? Now, Zin, I'm gonna be honest,
listen.
right off the rip.
Yeah, what's up?
The team don't look right to me, Zin.
What do you mean?
The roster, the roles, it just doesn't work for me. I don't like it.
What's wrong with it?
Too many ARs.
Oh, me and Fire?
Well, here's the thing. You got you, Fire, and then you got Selected Desi. I want to see a fucking entry fragger. A fucking...
No, trust me.
a
Jerry,
fucking maniac.
Trust me. Now listen. We gotta go. Listen. We brought Easter 6-4 last map. They've been together for months.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We're a new team.
Okay.
Week in, not even. Could have went either way, right? We threw. I mean, first map's unfortunate. We could have won 3-0. How do you know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we threw the raid hardpoint.
You played good map too.
Yeah, map 2 was great.
Map 2, map 3.
Map 3
guys were down
showed
0-2,
a
right?
ton of life, right? Down
Yeah.
2-0. Kid starts making plays. Slack gets streaks. We bring it back, and then last map we actually threw because we kept giving up mid, and so they were just getting free kills for mid. I also tried that 1v2 when I died to Tom back terminal. He was like 1-off streaks.
Mhm.
The thing is, I didn't see the other guy. If I chased him instead and killed him, that's literally a round win because Tom's playing for streaks and the clock's against him. So I'm fucking mad at myself. But nonetheless, listen, it's all about growth, right? One match, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? We'll win the next.
Fuck it. You
hopefully.
move on to the next one. I mean, I just really like Dave Patty, so it's a shame that he's gone. But I'm curious to see how you guys moving forward. How's scrims been looking? You guys been looking good?
I mean, we just played one scrim versus NYSL Academy. We didn't lose a map. Granted, it's the new patch. I feel like a hamster on a wheel, Tom. It's very different. I literally feel like
heard.
a full-blown hamster.
And I told Ben this, that it's going to be a lot different, and he doesn't think it's going to change the standings much. But I think the game's going to change a lot with this new patch, and I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that some things may like go back to what it was.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure they will probably.
I don't think the slide cancel's changing though. So I mean, that's it's good, but the issue is, right? So you think the prior games, right? Okay, no slide cancel, but like you had things like smokes, you had like a faster pull-up time, like you had better strafing. So and right now we don't have really any of that. Like the pull-up time is not as quick as it needs to be with the no slide cancel.
Yeah.
We're obviously not playing with smokes, so breaking hills and like I guess an example I'll use is like P3 Garrison, right? Like you're trying to break from front, you come that dark room.
Yeah.
Usually you slide cancel that corner, you chop the guy in the heady. Now it's like you can't do that. Like you're just gonna round the corner and get blown away.
Yeah.
Zenny talks forever when he talks. I'll stop talking.
No, I like what you talk. I mean, you just joined the show. Me and Ben been talking for an hour. I mean, it's good to get you on and talk.
I like hearing my own voice.
It's okay. Don't listen to people in the chat. They be sparing Lumas when it's clear as day Wumas. But what are you gonna do? I saw. I'm starting to think a little bit, Zen, with these changes. You got to feel for people like Slasher. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going back to land now. The slide cancel's fixed. Like I feel like this is where Slasher would have thrived.
Oh, yeah, I'll fuck myself.
Okay. All right. You gonna fuck yourself? All right. Sounds good.
Okay. So yeah, I agree with that. I think myself is also a good shout there.
Well, I'm saying because Slasher was a big one, Zin. It was a big name when he got dropped and everything was going on. I mean, nobody expected it. Slasher was one of the best ARs to ever do it. No.
I agree. Sure, I agree.
I know it's hard for you to say, Zin. I know it's hard.
No. I agree. I'm upset with the way you're saying Austin and not my name, as if I'm not a S tier player.
Well,
so I'm
the
just confused.
reason why I'm bringing up Austin is because I saw him tweeting about it. He tweeted about it, and he said, no slide looks incredible. Hopefully nobody figures out a way to break it again. Now just give subs their speed back, maybe 8% instead of previous 10, and give AR strafe.
You want to know why I'm not tweeting about it, Tom, anymore?
Why? You did tweet about it.
Wait, what?
You said it was you said it was you got World War II vibes. That's what you tweeted.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything like, oh, Tom, hold on. Promote that. Better Days Ahead drop coming this Friday. Go back.
Let's go back, guys. Better Days Ahead collection.
Get your promo in. Get your promo in.
Yeah, right there.
Let them know.
Better Days Ahead, Hollow Spring Collection Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern.
That's a heat hoodie.
Yeah, bro. I like all of it. I like the shirts are especially dope.
I like this.
I might have to cop that long sleeve for the golf course because Zen, you're in. Apparently, it snowed yesterday in Columbus, Zen.
Yeah, it snowed here last night too.
It was 60 degrees and it snowed. It's gonna be 80 next week. Like who the fuck knows what's going on in Ohio weather? When I go golfing, I need some good attire. That long sleeve looks fire for the course. So
I really like this fucking Better Days Ahead T-shirt with the rose and then the piano on the back. I like that. My
favorite's the hoodie, the black embroidery on the white hoodie. Nice spring
nice
color.
And clean. Nice and clean.
Looks ass. Listen, guys, teach their own. You don't like it? Go fuck yourself. I don't care.
I mean, it'll always be.
A lot of people do like it.
It'll always be opinionated. It'll always be opinionated. We got Nick Merckx at 400,000 viewers. Somebody put in the chat. That's crazy. Nick Merckx.
I actually just DM'd him. I said, how much for a host? Because I need that.
Wait, you DM'd him?
No, I'm joking. But I might. Maybe 5 gifted for that host, big guy.
You pulled all Mo.TV trying to pay for a host. I like it.
I mean, that's fucking crazy.
Wait, someone actually tried that?
No, that's like Mo TV's like gimmick back in the CS:GO days. He would always ask like Stewie and Tarek, how much for a host?
Now I gotta be honest. Does Nick Merckx host people here? Does he ever host people?
I don't know.
Like when he gets off right now, he's got 123,000 views now. But before he had 400,000 viewers. Say at the end of the stream, he goes, "Is he gonna host somebody?"
I don't know, but I hope everybody's tweeting him saying hosts in.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he does. But
Nick's a good guy. Every time I see Nick, last time we saw Nick, we tried paying for drinks. He goes, "No, go fuck yourself. I'm paying." I said, "All right, Nick, you can pay."
He's a good guy. He's a good fucking guy. I love Nick Merckx. I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan. I'm always watching his streams. I used to be in his chat all the time, but now he just doesn't even notice me anymore because there's just so many people in there.
Oh yeah, he doesn't host anybody.
I don't think he does. No, he doesn't only care about himself. I mean, to be honest, hosting somebody, I can see why he might do it, might not do it. I don't know. I personally would, but I mean, guys, it doesn't mean he's selfish or anything. He's not obligated to host people, guys. He's worked very hard for what he's done, and I'm a big fan. Honestly, I'm a big fan. I'm always watching his streams and stuff like that. I'm a little confused though. Why today though? All these Warzone guys are blowing up because of the new Warzone thing.
Because I guess the map is getting nuked. I'm pretty sure it's like a brand new map. I'm not sure
if that's
true.
It got nuked, but there's no new map yet. I heard.
I think it's tomorrow. Wait, is it a whole brand new map? Because if so, that's actually crazy. Like that's actually gonna be dope.
It's new Warzone map. Rumor, it's a new Warzone map.
Verdansk got fucking nuked, guys. It got fucking nuked. Hold on.
That's actually super hype.
Yeah, it is hype. It is hype. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about playing some Warzone later. If you wanted to play with me.
Well, the new map's tomorrow, but I actually might be down later tonight to play some Warzone.
There's some rumors that something might happen at midnight, so people are standing by for that. There's
Michaela, my girlfriend told me midnight. I was gonna play with her.
Midnight Eastern is the hot rumor. So
what does she work for? Fucking Infinity Ward?
No, there's rumors. If you read like articles and stuff, there's just rumors. People read stuff. She does a lot of reading online.
The issue is it might be midnight Cali time, so it might be 3, because most of the stuff is 3 a.m. Eastern, you know what I'm saying, or 2 a.m. your time, because they're all located in Cali, so they usually go off PST.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all goes down. We got Simp.
9 p.m. Pacific? Okay, 9 p.m. Pacific.
We got Simp in the chat, dropping a big fucking 5. Chris, let's get a wimp in the chat, guys. Simp, absolute legend.
Thank you, wimp.
Absolute legend. But let's keep the show going, man. Let's get some predictions for tomorrow. I know we've done this before, but now we got Zinni in here, and obviously the matches tomorrow, guys. We're gonna be doing a show right after the matches, like always. But we're kicking things off tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern, April 22nd, Thursday. The Royal Ravens home series. We have Dallas Empire going up against Paris Legion to kick things off. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I feel like Dallas is kind of shit right now.
Hold on, I'll be back 1 second.
All right, have a good day. We got Crowder, by the way. We got Crowder coming in with a 272 viewer raid. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the stream, ladies and gentlemen. We're kind of at the end of the show here, guys, but we're doing some predictions here. We're talking about tomorrow. We got Zinni joining us, aka Methods, and I'm curious, what do you guys think about Dallas Paris? Because Dallas doesn't look good to me right now. They don't.
I mean, apparently Chris is joining us, so I'm dragging him in.
Drag him in.
Crowder?
Oh, look who it is. It's fucking Chris Crowder.
Rick Crowder!
Crowder!
Yo, yo, guys, hold on, guys. I want to tell you guys a story about Crowder real quick. Some of you may have heard it. So listen, I'm on FaZe, Black Ops 4. We have a nice, fun team, lot of good friends.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these shoes. These shoes I really want. They're $1,000 shoes. If you know me, I'll spend money on food. Other than that, $1,000 shoes, you're out of your fucking mind. Never. So I'm talking about, I'm like, yo, dude, I would love these, blah, blah, blah. One day they show up at my doorstep. I'm like, what the fuck? I start texting my girlfriend. I'm like, yo, did you get me these shoes? And she actually, I'll tell you in a sec. But then finally I get a text from Crowder. He goes, how do they fit? I said, you're a fucking asshole.
He's an asshole.
He's
He's
a
just
good
fucking
fucking
guy.
Chris.
Here they are right here. Hold on. Here they are right here. My favorite pair of shoes I own. Right
Wait,
here.
are you streaming right now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck. I didn't want to promote. Yeah.
No,
Yes,
I got you. I'm going to your stream. I'm pulling it up. Let me see him.
Let's see
Okay.
it. Let's fucking see him.
Okay. I mean, they're a
Beautiful.
little dirtier now because I've literally worn them every single day nearly for the past fucking
Yeah,
years.
you have worn those a lot.
Bro,
Yeah.
a lot. I love them. So these are my favorite pair of shoes. My off-white Air Maxes.
They're
Thank you,
nice.
Crowder. And I guess my girlfriend ordered them for me. When you got them for me.
Wait, did that happen?
Well, no. Well, she ordered them, and then she had to cancel it because you got them for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Anyway,
dude.
we're router in the chat.
Yeah,
Fucking dope.
get a router in the chat. I actually, I
didn't
just
know that.
stole your BTTV emote, Chris. I stole it.
Yeah, because it was made for you, bro.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
chat,
look,
my chat loves you.
Shout out Will to Will
you
for
put
that.
Zoomaa with all caps at 2 A's in the chat. You get a little dancing gif of me. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, do
Wow.
some Woomas in the chat, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
do
use
some
the new emote.
do some Woomas with 2 A's. Do Woomas with 2 A's, all caps, and you get a big fucking. You get the gif. You get the fucking gif. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, dude, Tommy, you would be surprised how much Woomas are in my chat in the morning, bro.
I
In
love
my
that.
morning stream.
I
So
love
we're
that.
sleeping, we're still talking about you.
I
So
love
Chris,
it. I love it.
before we get into predictions, while I
What?
have you
And
here,
what?
want to ask you a question. And we
Hello?
talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but want to get your take on it.
Yeah.
You guys picked up Tupac, obviously coming off of some of your S&D struggles in stage 2. Like, what was sort of the thought process there? Like, how that move come together?
I mean, the one thing I'll say that people probably won't believe, yeah, I kind of said it like just before when we announced it, is it wasn't a reactionary thing. Like, we didn't lose stage 2 and, suck it to search, and I was just like, oh my fucking god, we got to get something. Like, it wasn't like a panic thing.
Yeah.
But it like the way I like, at least I don't know, like the way I like to run things, because I have some freedom with like Atlanta FaZe on like how things can get ran. I just like to I like to have like more help. Like the
Yeah,
more my biggest, I mean, you kind of know this, my biggest view on coaching and teams and growth in general, and this goes for anything, not just like Call of Duty here, is having like more eyes that you trust, and like creative minds and just people that are really good at what they fucking do around you. It can't hurt,
Mm-hmm.
And like, so it's like I'm not gonna just not do searching anymore. Like, I'm still gonna be in the practices, but we had an opportunity to get Tupac as an S&D analyst. I personally think it's a sin that he hasn't been hired already.
Yeah.
So I was just like, an extra pair of eyes can't really hurt. And it's like it's a different dynamic, right? If Tupac tells Abizi to do something, like it's different than when it comes out like for me. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
it's a good move.
yeah, I personally think it's not like a reactionary thing. Like, holy shit, we don't know what to fucking do. Like, to be honest with you, I'm sure if we didn't hire him, we would have been fine. Like in that sense. But I think hiring him can only help. And if a move can only help you, I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
like
think
that. Good response.
that's what I said before. I said it can only help them. And Tupac, I think the main thing with him is he's well respected. I think the players just respect him and his S&D mindset. So I think it was a good pickup for you guys. And obviously that's been you guys' weakest game mode. I mean, come on. Let's be realistic here. I think if you guys can figure that out, Chris, I think you guys are good to go. And a lot of people are asking who's talking. That's actually James Crowder, the head coach at Atlanta FaZe. So if you guys don't know who it is, he's streaming on Twitch at all times. Twitch.tv/Crowder. So make sure to go check him out. We have some matches tomorrow, Chris. I'm curious, man. Now that you're in here, and we got methods in here as well. Let's get your guys' opinions. We got Dallas Empire going up against Paris Legion tomorrow.
We got Parasite also. What's in here?
So you mentioned that you think Dallas is ass right now.
I think
to put
Dallas
it
is
bluntly.
shit. I don't know why. I think they're bad.
Let me say something.
User was moved to
I
your
would
channel.
agree Dallas is ass in a certain sense, but like they're still placing top 3. So like Dallas is quote unquote ass and not even close to where they could be, and they're still beating most of the teams. So it's hard to be like their ass. I'll say like their ass compared to what we expect from them, but like they're still placing top 3, top 2.
No, I guess not ass. I mean, it's a bad way to put it. The reason why I'm saying that is because expectations, right? I expect them to be a lot better than what they are, and people can agree with me on that or disagree with me on that. But just, I don't really care about their placings. Just watching them play, they don't seem like the Dallas that I know they can be.
They're just off pace, right? It seems like Shotzi and Kyler, then you have like Indra, then you have Chris. It's like there's no harmony there.
And it just feels like as the year goes on, I'm not seeing any. They're not progressing. They're not getting better. It just seems like they're just staying at the. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They're fucking incredible. They're one of the best teams in the game, top 3 teams in the game. But I'm not seeing World Championship Dallas like I was last year. And that's where I start to question a little bit, kind of what's going on. And then plus guys behind the scenes. I'm watching scrims. I'm watching some other things. I see a little bit more than you guys might see, and they're just not looking like themselves. They're not. And I don't know if there's something going on there or if the camp is just not, things are not falling for them, but they're not looking like the Dallas that I know they can be. Now, this match is going to be good. I think they're probably going to come out and beat Paris, but I wouldn't be surprised by any means if Paris comes down and wins this match tomorrow.
I just got here. What's the topic? Sorry to cut you off.
We're talking about Dallas. Can I have one kind of take on Dallas, Tom?
Yeah, go ahead.
They're one of the rare teams last stage that did not play Apocalypse whatsoever, which I'm really surprised because you would think with the players in that team, they would be willing to kind of play that map. They have such dynamic players. And we know that they were a really good Crossroads team before the map got taken out. So I think like the reduced map pool and hardpoint, which is giving other teams the opportunity to square up on, say, a Garrison or a Raid and maybe get a good side and have the other team is in a better position, is maybe kind of causing some parity there. So I would like to see Dallas try and like expand the map pool a bit. Do they play? I think they were played Express S&D, right? Yeah, they played a couple times as well.
Yeah, they won at 6-0 like recently.
So I don't think Dallas is playing terrible right now, but if you ask the players in the team, I'm sure they would say we're not the level we want. In regards to this matchup against Paris, though, like definitely interesting with Paris making a change. Kind of hard to predict now what their map pool is with Temp in the mix. Paris was kind of trending up, and we thought kind of the limitation on their ceiling was Fire, and now he's gone and they've got Temp. So I still have I think I predicted this when we did this last week. I have Dallas 3-2. I think this match will be really close. But we've seen what Dallas has done in these game 5s, and I think they'll clutch up.
I think it's going to come down to those searches. Paris has looked good in search like every single stage. Like that's been their strongest game mode in my opinion.
So Paris?
And yeah, Paris has been really good at search for the most part, I thought, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it comes up. Methods, Crowder, I know you, Crowder, you might not want to even give your input. Just with this match tomorrow, we got Dallas going up against Paris. Any predictions, or you just you're gonna scratch this one?
Yeah, I mean, dude, predictions are tough in this game because like I haven't seen the new Paris play, to be honest, too much.
Yeah,
so, like, it's really hard to predict. I have no idea with them. I mean, Paris statistically was struggling in Search and Destroy, yeah.
Yeah.
And so was Dallas. Like I don't know how they're stage 2.
Parasite just said that Search and Destroy was their best.
I thought Paris was bad at Search.
I haven't watched in a while, so I might be completely wrong.
They won one of the last 4 S&Ds.
I feel like they've always been competitive in search, though. Like all their searches, if anything, like are close. I could be wrong about that. They might just be losing them, like not clutching up on them.
Which is true, and that's the thing. It's like if they're not closing out their searches and stuff, I think against a team like Dallas, even though Dallas has had like their struggles a little bit here and there in search, but I think they've gotten a little bit better in my opinion at search, like in the stage 2. I don't know the statistics of it, just like how I feel. I don't know. I feel like Dallas should take this. I think Dallas is kind of taking like what you guys just said about them, probably pretty personal in the sense of like we got to get better. Like Dallas is still a top 3 team in the game, plain and simple. I don't think you can argue it. But I think people are still kind of saying like where like they're to the Dallas standards where they are. So like I think Dallas has been putting in pretty good work. I don't know. We'll see. I think it favors Dallas, but if Paris gets better at S&D with Temp and all that stuff, I think they're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I'm curious.
They're a scary team to play.
I'm curious to see how good they come out with Temp, right? Because they're bringing in Temp. They have a whole new look to the team. I mean, a one-player change can do a lot. So obviously, Paris has showed signs of greatness, but they haven't been closing out. They haven't been closing some of these matches. So while they do look good, I mean, they haven't really, they haven't gotten like a top 3 or top 4 placing or anything, right? If I remember correctly, like they haven't placed up there, but they've showed signs of light. Like they take good teams all the way. They've had some pretty big wins. So, I mean, just bringing in Temp and having a whole new dynamic to this team. I'm excited to watch them play. And then again, going back to Dallas, they just haven't been looking like world championship caliber Dallas that I know they are. So I'm hoping that Dallas can come out and show a little bit of that. So we're gonna have a good series, man. We got Nameless in the call, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
What's good, bro?
How you doing, bro?
Man.
Wow.
Thought I'd come through.
Mind blown.
Say what's up.
What's up,
What's up, man?
What up, Zen? What up, everybody?
Why-
I was just tuning in, bro. You got some matches tonight, huh?
Hey, you calling
Yeah,
in from
bro.
your phone, brother? What's good here?
Wait, why does my mic never sound good in this
You gotta
TeamSpeak?
sit up on your mic, bro.
No, you sound okay. You
I'm
sounded
right
like
next to it.
you're good now. Now you sound really good.
You're good. You're far that way. There
Dude, I
for a
got
sec,
Len
so.
always coming. Actually, Len always coming at my mic, bro. I'm starting to get
Yeah,
heated.
let's get a Len. Let's get a
I've seen
fucking
your
Len.
setup. Hold on, I've seen your setup. You've got a nice beefy setup.
See?
I've seen
There it
Ant's.
is.
Ant's got 2 offices in his
You
house.
say beefy setup?
Yeah, he
He
does.
said a
He
beefy
says some
setup.
weird
He
shit.
said a
He
beefy
always
setup.
does this.
Dude, your
What the fuck is that, Ben?
Dude, your vocabulary fucks with
Beefy
my head,
setup.
man.
This is still a lot of people.
Your
You guys-
vocabulary fucks with my head.
Oh, Ben's been all through my house, dude. He's
Yeah.
seen all the beef.
But sometimes
What
it
does he
does
say?
run a little
Wait,
wobbly.
wait, hold on. Wait, what's the word he always says
Wobbly,
about
wobbly.
No. What's the word he says about like teams? It's like it's all about harmony, or what? It doesn't. What does he
Wobbly.
say? No. You
Wait,
know,
what?
Ben,
He
what
says
word do you
wobbly
say?
a
I
lot.
use the word wobbly a lot.
He uses
yeah.
the word wobbly a lot. He'll be like, they're looking a little wobbly here.
Yo, guys, listen. I came in here because I want to talk about. Did you guys talk about like the patch and stuff and how you think it's gonna affect the game
Yeah,
this week?
yeah, we did.
Yeah, if you,
we
if
did.
I
you've got
missed
a
it.
take if you want to
Yeah,
drop
yeah.
it though. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
dude.
No,
you
I
have a
just
hot
wanted
take.
to bring it up and then bring up the
I
combo.
mean,
but
I said I think that the new slide canceling thing is going to change the game a lot. But
I think the game
course.
insanely.
but I mean,
insanely.
I'm kind of with Ben here. I don't know if it's going to impact the standings. I think the best teams are still going to be the best teams, personally. But
I agree.
I definitely can see it impacting the game though. I think it's going to change the game a little bit.
I think if they don't change some other things, then it's gonna ruin some of these maps. Because I was pretty adamant about that before. I tweeted about it, how like certain maps are affected by the game's movement mechanics and like good map design, like kind of it harmonizes with like good mechanics. So like for example, raid, like raid in this meta, right? With slide canceling, it wasn't so bad because if somebody was holding an angle, you would be able to kind of slide cancel, bait switch a little bit easier. Right now, without that, when somebody's holding an angle, like you basically are screwed unless you double team them. So and in COD, you're never going to have like a bait and switch every single engagement. You see what I'm saying?
Setups are gonna dominate.
Yeah. So setups are literally going to be just so OP. So they need to do something about that because otherwise we're playing MWR right now, and
Is it that bad?
not
Is
good.
that
How much
giant?
scrims? Chris, are you in here?
Yeah, I scrimmed, and it got to a point where we were pulling out more ARs. If you got a kill as like a Krig and you knew somebody was probably coming around the corner, you would just keep shooting, and they would stand like no chance.
Yeah, I played ranked today, and I know it's not like scrims or anything, but still, like, there's some sweats in there. Everybody was running an AR. It was
Yeah.
like, I'm not running a sub.
There needs to be movement mechanics in COD. Like we're playing an arcade shooter, but just at a competitive level, if you have like some of the best players in the game holding these power positions, they're going to be way harder to get off without any sort of mechanics. And I agree, slide canceling was broken, but it was something in the game that allowed you to kind of swing gunfights more in your favor. Not like maybe it was too OP, but like having higher strafe speeds could help, higher pull-up times, higher ADS times, better jump shotting mechanics, better drop shotting mechanics. All of those mechanics are skill based. They're not abusive like a slide cancel, right?
I agree.
The slide cancel broke the game, but the other ones, they need to speed up the game. They need to speed up the movement, all that stuff, because otherwise we're gonna have a pretty fucking boring game, dude.
Parasite, you got the laundry going on back there? What's going on over there?
Wait,
You
what do
washing
mean?
your clothes? I don't know.
What,
It
do you
sounds
hear
like you got the laundry going or some
Is there
shit.
something? Is there something going on in my background?
I can't tell. You gotta tell me that. I'm over here in
Oh,
Dallas.
Sounds
it
like
might,
there's no
it might
space.
actually, my mic might be too sensitive, and it might be my PC being picked up. I'll just go
Maybe,
back to my
maybe. It sounds
Astros.
like a Jet fan.
Yeah,
or
I'll
some
just go
shit.
back to my.
No, you're good. You're good.
There you go.
I
I'll
think,
go back to my Astros.
I think that was a really good point, Parasite. Because Zen, I think you made pretty much the exact same point earlier when you were
Well,
talking
just
about.
smokes too. Like
impacts.
so there's just no way to actually counter setups like used to be. If someone's holding off angle, all right, let's smoke him out and push him. Now it's like, well,
yeah.
this guy has nothing in his line of sight but me rounding a corner slowly.
So we're gonna
you know.
see ridiculous upsets now. Then this
But
is
see,
gonna be.
I would much rather have quicker movement mechanics than the smoke grenade, especially in this game.
I agree.
They need to do something because even if they bring the speed grip back, right, it's not going to fix the issue.
Honestly, I really don't listen. I agree. The slide cancel was, I guess, broken, but I really don't think it was that bad, like, especially at 60 hertz.
It was bad. Like,
I'll fuck myself.
The reason why it was bad, Zin, it wasn't like more so for around corners. It was more so in head glitches. So you guys all know how to do this, right? Where you like hold L3 to do a slide cancel when it's instant. So if you did that behind a piece of cover, like a head glitch, for example, you would basically snake it. Like how you did in BO4, how like Celium would literally go back and forth on head glitches, just slide canceling them. It's the same thing in this game. You could do it the exact same way. So if somebody was holding you, right, and you did that to them, you would pop-up glitch them just like in other CODs. So that's why it's abusive. That's the main reason why I needed to go.
Man. We'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of changes that were made to the game, especially when you're changing something as big as a movement mechanic. Like the game is just going to be played differently. Now we'll see if it has a huge impact. I saw, Nameless mentioned, maybe more upsets. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I'm excited to watch some of these games.
I think the best teams will still be the best teams.
Yeah, but there could be more upset potential.
Making the game harder only benefits the teams with high skill because they can actually win those tough gunfights.
But does it actually make the game harder?
It makes it easier.
There's an argument where it's like, okay, it makes it harder because it's harder to break. But then there's an argument where it's like, okay, since it is like harder to break, teams that aren't as good at holding setups will just be able to hold setups because spots will be more powerful. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out because nobody can answer that question yet until the match is officially
that's what I was
happened.
going to say. Like, I'll use a team like FaZe, for example, right? Like, they're obviously good at holding setups, but, like, they're a scary team when they're trying to break hills.
Yeah.
And something like this just makes it a lot harder for them to, I guess, abuse the movement or play at that pace to get people out of power spots. And especially ARs, bro, like me. Like, I literally was slide canceling every single fight I got into, and today I just scrimmed. I literally felt like a hamster on a wheel. I'm just fucking.
You probably go back to the World War II VOD, right?
Yeah, I'm up to watch World War II VOD and just fucking figure out what I used to play like.
I mean, if you look at Dub 2, great example.
But it's still worse than World War II. Like World War II had the quicker strafe speed, and it's not the same.
No. That's what I'm saying though. Like, I don't know.
Well, it's not the same, but like, I don't know. It's a weird feeling because I agree with what people are saying with the sliding thing, but if you put like some of the best players in the world on a head glitch and say, kill them off of it now, like the better teams are most like it's going to be harder to break that. Like, of course, like what you said with like breaking, it's probably going to be a little bit tougher for teams to break. But I think the best teams in the world right now are the best teams in the world because they actually rotate properly and they're actually ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you like, of course, those like bailout breaks might not happen as often. We'll kind of have to wait and see. I also think eventually there'll probably be like some mechanics and movements that people will adapt and figure out, like, how to get it done. But I think a lot of the reason why some of the best teams are the best teams is because of their teamwork, staying ahead of the game, and actually being like on the same page. So, for example, those bailout breaks might not happen here or there, but the best teams in the world are still going to have the teamwork to like 2v1 a challenge and get this guy off this power spot, et cetera, et cetera. And then like you put some of the best players in the world, not like taking my team out of this. Say you use Optic. If you put Dashy or any of those guys,
who's in the chat right now, by the way? Hey, Dashy.
Yeah. So it's fine. The use formal doesn't matter who it is. Like if you put him on a head glitch, he's probably not going to die off of it.
No.
So it's like the better teams are still probably not going to be in a bad spot. Like I don't know. I'm curious to see how it plays, but I think the best teams are the best teams in the world because of how good they rotate around the map. Like I don't know.
Let's take this even one step. Let's take this one step further, right? Let's assume macro, right? Let's assume overall break percentage goes down with this. That suddenly makes streaks like more important on somebody's money house. Like playing for streaks and trying to get that artillery so you can break from the front or set up your pinch around the back, what have you. Like suddenly those become super, super big on some of these maps because you're constantly in a situation where it's like 45-15 on hills and you're trying to change that dynamic.
I mean, and now it's even easier to get
streaks.
Depends
on the map, I guess. Too. It's definitely easier to get streaks, yeah.
Yeah, because the Challengers Scrim chat was blowing up today. It's like, all it takes now is one hill. You can stay in one spot the entire hill, funnel a team away, and, like, you'll get streaks. Like, it's very hard to die off these power spots now. My other worry is that we've seen the game slow down a lot from scrims to actual matches, and I feel like it might slow it down even more now. I'm not sure how much more it'll slow down because, to be honest, I mean, like watching the major, I don't think the major was that slow. I think like I think the top 4 matches were actually super fast paced and entertaining. Like Control, for example, like I don't see a world where it speeds up now with this change, and it was already slow.
Yeah.
You play checkmate and raid, I guarantee you start seeing 3 assault rifles, especially if they don't revert the speed grip in time. You're gonna see 3 ARs on both those maps.
Wasn't New York already running like 3 Kriegs sometimes on checkmate, right? It's not Dasim would pull out a Krieg.
Early on, I don't know if they were doing that so much anymore, but I agree with you, Parasite. I think we might see just more ARs, especially if they keep it how it is and don't revert some of this stuff back. But
and the thing is, Tom, you could always run if you really wanted to keep your speed. You could run the speed grip, and you actually run as fast as like the pistol does. Like, and that's the fastest moving mechanic right now is the pistol.
You're faster than subs when you have speed grip in the air.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. With the
that's a problem.
100%.
I'm all pissed off they didn't do this shit when I was playing. This would have helped my hand. Fucking all these slide canceling shit. That shit would have definitely helped my hand. I mean, that was like the biggest thing. Just being a main sub player, not being able to do the movement mechanic at all times. I mean, granted, I don't think it would have changed much, but it would have just been more comfortable for me. But I just saw a lot of people complaining about it, and obviously somebody like Slasher was tweeting about it before, saying, like he's losing fucking full. Because now land is back, slide canceling's gone, the ARs are OP.
The deck stacked against it.
He's sitting there.
All right, Slash on the bench, do it. Push the button, push the button.
Needs a fucking time gem, bro. He needs to break out the Infinity Gauntlet and rewind.
So I don't know. It's interesting, but then we go into another match. We got Toronto Ultra versus the Florida Mutineers, and this one's tricky because
I'm hyped for this game, bro.
Me too. You got the championship team coming in. Obviously they want to prove that it wasn't just like a one event thing, and they want to keep rolling and keep being the best that they could possibly be. And then you got Florida, who just made a change. They brought Havoc in.
All right, listen.
Go ahead, Nameless. Say what you got to say.
I gotta say that. I gotta say it every time. Big Wake is my favorite player in the CDL. That guy is disgusting, bro. I'm telling you, his team at some point in this game will be dominating, bro.
He struggled last event.
Yeah, no, he is gross, but he hasn't been playing great. But I agree, he's disgusting.
He did. But that team, it's just they're a ticking time bomb, bro. Sky's a little bit inconsistent right now. I think the big thing with this roster, to be honest, and no diss to Slack because that's my boy. I actually don't think he's that bad at this game. I think Havoc was like their sort of in-game leader at times in their last team. And they didn't have him anymore. And I'm telling you, well, now that he's back, bro, I'm hoping that he's able to do this for the squad because
there's no way Colt's their in-game leader. Is that correct?
No, he was. If you went to any of their listeners, things like that, bro.
F3 was their in-game leader last year.
No, he was, but there were times where Havoc would literally take command, bro. If you remember from last year, we talked about it all the time. Bro, that kid is a beast now. I used to hate on him. He's a beast now. So we'll see how he is in this game, but I'm excited for this match.
One of the underrated things about Toronto, I was kind of doing some research before the show today, and what's really interesting is at the major, this Toronto team was very resilient. I don't know if you guys know this, but the last 3 series that they played, they lost the first map in all of those series. They lost the first map against Rocker, the first map against Dallas, and the first map against FaZe. And they were able to regain composure and either even up the series or win 3 straight like they did against Dallas and Minnesota.
I mean, they're SNDs.
Wait, do you have to rebuttal to that, your point is obviously right. Do you have the statistics if that was their map pick every first map?
Wait, which map?
I do not. I would love to know if that's the case.
Because what that's also saying is like they're good at the hard points that they're picking, but obviously like they're struggling at other maps. But they're really good at search, which makes you resilient. If you're good at search and destroy, usually that makes you that way.
Did you guys pick Garrison against them in that?
Absolutely, yeah.
There you go. Well,
were you guys asked about map picks? Because I have all the map picks things.
Yeah, I was curious just because regardless, I think they're nasty. Like they played great. But yeah, being that good at search, yeah, for us in stage 1, when we were that good at search, like you can be resilient because you go down 0-1. If you bounce back 1-1, like you're completely fine. You know.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, no, that makes them super resilient just for that fact. So yeah, they're just a really good search team, man. Like they just seem to be on the same page.
I personally think that after a major performance like that, where they're playing that many maps, that many series, and they won, I think these guys are probably going to find their stride, where they're going to show signs of consistency this season. They might not necessarily replicate that by being the best and winning the tournament again, but I still think they're gonna be a top they're gonna be at least a top 6 team or at least a top 4 team actually, and I think they're gonna continue their search and destroy dominance, and I don't see the insight train slowing down. That kid's a freaking beast.
Yeah, he's good.
He's been playing so fucking good in every game mode.
One thing I'm curious about with Toronto, right? So I think everybody's, and obviously Chris, you don't gotta tip your hand. Like I think a lot of people are gonna take Raid S&D off the plate when they play against them, and then matchup for Florida is very interesting because Florida, I believe, has not played Raid S&D at all this year at any point. So clearly that's not a ban for them. I just kind of look at the map set. It's going to be very interesting.
But they're
series.
good at Moscow, Miami,
Yeah.
and Express. So I mean, I
Yeah.
think they'd be fine. I think the
good.
big thing for Toronto was
about to
they
say
weren't
they're
they were
bad.
never winning raid control, and then they started to win. Like they were like 3-7 in it, I think, and then after the major, they're 7-7 in it. So they fixed
And
their
they
raid
turned
control,
their-
which gave them another map like raid and garrison now. So they can just get rid of checkmate because it felt like that was like the big thing for them is like what control map do we play?
They were
You
still.
want to know something
Go
else
ahead.
so interesting? Nameless. Florida's played raid control one time this year.
All right, so I mean they'll probably get rid of that, and then it's garrison. So I mean I give that more than likely towards Toronto, and then yeah, it'll be an interesting series. We'll see how it goes.
I think I got Toronto favored, probably a 3-1.
Yeah.
But I this Florida team, man, like
They're so weird,
we're,
bro.
we're all just waiting to see the good side of Florida. It's so hard to predict them in every series because you
Big
know
weight,
there's a lot
bro.
of talent on this team. We know what Big Weight can do. We know what Skies can do. We saw it a lot last year. We saw it in other past games as well. Havoc at times has been really good. Was good on Gen G. And you know, like Neptune's had his moments this year, and he's still kind of learning the game and had of his role in this team. I just don't know if they're going to win this series, but I'm hoping this is the stage where Florida kind of figures it out and starts to really put themselves back in the top half of the conversation in terms of best teams.
Here's the thing with Florida. They were, from my knowledge, they were a top 2 scrim team before the major. Like the only
Yeah.
team that beat them was FaZe. From my knowledge, maybe some other teams here and there, but like they were dominant in scrims. Something was going wrong in matches, and I refuse to believe Slacked was becoming an issue in matches. Like there's got to be
No,
something else
not
there.
at all.
Yeah,
I have,
it's not just his fault.
I have no
No
idea
way.
what it is. First off, Caesar's been inconsistent. When he's good, he's great.
Mhm.
And sometimes he hasn't been great. Awakening too. He's their star player. Granted, if your team's losing, you're not always going to play well. But like he didn't have the best of series. Neptune too. Like he's obviously a pop-off player. He makes these flashy plays, but he's still making mistakes in the map. It's like I'm really not sure what if Havoc for Slacked fixes that issue of like translating your practice gameplay to the match. Like
Yo,
Well, what they're
the-
what they're waiting for is sorry, T. What they're
No,
waiting
you're
for
good.
is for Skies to find consistency, right? And then they're hoping that with bringing Havoc in, it's like just going to change the dynamic of the roster. I don't think that Slack was the main problem. I don't think they think that. I think they're just trying to change the entire dynamic of the roster, and hopefully it makes everybody around them better. I think Neptune actually got way better towards the end of stage 2. I thought he was not that great during stage 1 and just started playing way better. So we'll see. I actually think this team can be really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the same thing as you. I said I don't really think it was just like, hey, Slack's an issue, let's get rid of him. I think it was more changing the dynamic of the team, like what Nameless just said, and just seeing maybe with Havoc, maybe they'll click a little bit better. I mean, they're closer a little bit now to their team last year, and last year they were incredible. They were one of the best teams in the game. Now, granted, they had Pharaoh, who I think was the main piece of this team, and not having him, it's hurting them this year. Now they're just trying to find
We should
a.
also mention though that after they went on that run, they fade off at the end because teams kind of figured out how to play them. They were like, okay, this team's really good at holding hills, but they're not very good at breaking hills. Let's try to front run this team and put them in positions where they have to come at us, and suddenly that's where they struggle.
Yeah,
so
but this game's not like
it's a
that
totally
game,
different
so-
game. I know, but I guess the sum of this conversation, we're all waiting for the good side of Florida to show up, and hopefully this is the
Well,
major they figured out.
to the Florida thing, this could sound crazy, so I guess maybe this is like stupid to say. I don't really know. I feel like they remind me a little bit of what Toronto was. Like I
Yeah.
feel like Toronto in the beginning of this year, anytime people talked about Toronto, it's like, I don't know, man, they have the talent, they look good, but like they just can't get it together. Like when it matters in the clutch moments and all that stuff, it just like things just seem to not go their way. Like the teamwork wasn't there or whatever it was. It was never like an issue of their talent. I feel like Florida's like the same shit. Like I just feel like Florida shows up to match because they're good in scrims, like you guys are saying they're doing well. A lot of that is just like teamwork on the day, and that's like inevitable to come if they're actually practicing seriously and like like going hard and all that.
Yeah.
Which that's what they remind me of, that where when the day comes where like they have to put it all together, it's just not fully there. And that's not something that what you said about Slack, that's not going to be a Slack issue. Slack doesn't bring that issue to the table. If anything, he's the opposite. So I wonder if what you were kind of saying, just having that change might just change up the vibe a little bit and help them out. But just overall, like that's probably going to be the main focus, is like getting that down when it matters. Like if they're a good team, they have the talent, dude. Like this is like a ticking time bomb, like you guys said. They're so fucking good. It's just getting that teamwork, which is like the most important shit in matches, in my opinion, is actually being able to communicate and team challenge and, you know, like kind of be composed. I think that's like what they got to work on. If they get that down, they're going to be a scary team.
One thing that I know, Chris, like I don't think X Factor is the most amazing stat in the world, but what it can demonstrate is like I hate the stat.
I stopped believing in it after the major.
But at a macro level, if like 3 or 4 of your players are like higher up on the chart of X Factor, it's usually a sign that something's funky with your teamwork and consistency there.
Exactly. Like you just, perfect. Like that's the thing. That stat fucking sucks because that stat, a lot of the times, if you have like one X Factor, a lot of the times, like when that X Factor is not doing good and the team fucking loses, it's because the teamwork is ass. And when the teamwork is ass, usually one player kind of gets scapegoated out of it because of how hard it is for that one player to play. So like that stat is so dumb because people just act like when, for example, if you use Bance or whoever you want to do, like if this guy plays good, they win. Like, no, that's not how it works because usually this guy starts playing good because the team is on the same page. They're team challenging. They're actually having easier gunfights. The game is easier to play. When the game is easier to play, that's when you can be good. If the game is not easy to play and your teamwork is horrible, you're gonna lose. Like
you can say that.
I don't know.
You can say that for like every stat, though. My bad. You can say that for every single stat.
I was saying in particular though, if you look at specific game modes with a team,
in general,
like 3 of their players are near the top on that chart, which to me just highlights the fact that they're just from series to series are just not consistent in terms of their teamwork and overall like performance as a unit, and it's not just coming down to one individual. And I feel it sucks that Jerry got kind of put in that position, and I don't think a lot of their struggles are entirely on his shoulders in that aspect.
I just think it was the easiest decision for them to make. I mean, he was on their bench. They wanted to make a change. They needed to change some up, and you know that's the core that they had, so that's what they did. I mean, another thing to note with Florida is like, I could see.
Like for example, like there was rumors of them trying out people like JT. It's like they benched Havoc to begin with for a reason, and then it was like, first off, I don't think
what
he
was the
even
reason
playing.
they did that?
I don't remember.
I still don't fucking know the reason here.
Was he good?
But yeah, I mean,
apparently he wanted to be the next Dr. Disrespect. No, I'm serious. That's what he said. He said, I want to go stream full time. I want to be the next doctor.
So from what I know, he gets benched. He wasn't even playing challengers for at least a good month, I'd say. So it's like, I'm not sure why he didn't play. Then he starts playing, and to be honest, I have no idea how he's been playing personally. But I feel like he's getting the shot more because of him being on their bench instead of looking for like the next best thing, if that makes sense.
It was easy. Like I said, I mean, it was just easy, and they were like, we need to make a change. The players probably wanted like, all right, well, you can have Havoc. I mean, and they were probably not super opposed to it because they had success with him. So, I mean, at any rate, like Havoc's an incredible talent. Like they could get a lot better. I mean, I think when they talk about the scrim thing, and I'm not watching the scrim, so I have no idea, but it could be like, I mean, looking at some of their map records, like they're 1-6 on Checkmate Hardpoint, yet they continue to play it. They're 2-5 on Checkmate S&D, yet they continue to play it. It's like maybe they're doing well in these maps and scrims, and then the match just falls apart. So I think what you said is sort of spot on. Chris. It's like the dynamic's not there, and the teamwork isn't there in the matches.
I was actually told Ant that they scrimmed with both JT and Havoc, and that the scrims didn't really like go much different, so they just decided to pick up Havoc, and I'm sure that was just because they had ease of access to him. He's already obviously on the team.
Makes sense.
That's why
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm curious. Say Florida comes down, they get shit on. Are they gonna still play with Havoc, or are they gonna try and get somebody else?
I think they got to go for someone else. No,
you got to, right? I mean,
Reese Vivid suddenly on the trade market. Maybe.
Okay, but let's talk. We can talk about trades for a second. Trading is different now. It's no longer letting the player do what he wants to do, and now it's like, well, why would we let an already strong competitor get way better by giving them Reese Vivid, where we're not going to get a trade where we think we win as well?
Money. They're gonna have to buy him.
Let me talk about this one, because this is a situation where I disagree with you, because this could be a situation where Florida doesn't like the direction their team is going, LAG doesn't like the direction their team is going, Reese doesn't like the coaching staff, or he's got issues with the LAG team. Suddenly your player is going both directions, and it's not a money for player trade. And on the Reese side, maybe he gets a wink, the team he's going, because he's on the second year of a deal, that he gets an extension. So yes, I agree with you. The money for player situation is tough, but when you have players going in both directions, then you can actually see some moves happen. But the mechanics that are still
what trade are you thinking?
No, but see, trades are difficult. They could just sell him, can they not?
Yeah, but most teams don't really value money like that. Like for like.
No, they do. What do you mean they don't value money? That's all they care about is money. That's all they give a fuck about. I mean, let's be honest. That's all they give a fuck about is money.
Yeah, but not that amount of money.
I see what you're saying, but it's like, here's the issue with paying money for a player. It's like, do we go pay big money for this player who could be a star? Or do we go pick up a challenger who could be a star, like a Standy, and pay $50K minimum?
Exactly.
And then hopefully we get the next simp. I feel like that's how every team thinks now. It's like we've talked about known quantities, unknown. It's like Vivid's a known quantity. I'm just using Vivid
as a whole different argument, though. Yeah.
And then it's like an amateur. I mean, not really. It's sort of the same thing.
I'm saying we were talking. We were talking about possible trades, but now you're saying they could just go pick up a fuck. I agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, people are just gonna go to challengers, pick up a guy for $50K, and arguably try and find the next fucking best thing because there's obviously a lot of talent. I thought we were talking. What are some possible trades we might be seeing here if it is a possibility?
Propose a possible trade and let's talk about it.
Well, hold on. Before we do that, I want to call cap here because here's my issue. Let's talk about last year and this year, and it's almost the same issue. Last year, the teams that wanted to make moves were at the cap, so they were in a weird situation where no matter what transactions they make, every dollar they go over the cap, they're spending another dollar that's to go back to the league. So that was why they weren't making moves. And then this year, I don't think it's like a situation where everybody's chasing the next simp. I think it's a situation where teams recognize that there has been for a while a generational shift in COD, and they're trying to get on that wave and trying to get some of these young players and build a foundation piece. But I don't think that's going to be the meta going forward.
At age 28. Clayster's a back-to-back world champion at age 28.
I get you, bro. But I'm just saying that's probably the thought process of the team. They're seeing all these challengers players, and they're up and coming, and it's this next generation of players, and they want to get in the mix. Is that going to happen every year? No, not every year. The amateur system is going to be super deep and stacked with talent. I think this year, though, there are a lot of people that are next up, and they want to get on the wave.
I think that's one of the worst misconceptions we have, at least in Call of Duty or all esports, is that, like, for example, I'm 23, and I'm somehow considered on the older side. And it's like I'm 23 years old. A lot of these teams come from Overwatch, where players play 1 year at age 19 and retire. And they're like, wait, you're still playing at 23?
But you're only 23?
Yeah.
But you're still little babies
He's just been around for a while. You've been around since you were like, what, 14?
Yeah, you've been around for a minute.
Yeah, that just blew my mind that you're 23.
Yeah, it blew my mind too. What the fuck? You're 23 years old.
That's been my theory for forever.
He's not 23 and he's 18.
I thought you were my age.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was my theory. My theory on this has been the same thing forever. Like when I was 18 in Black Ops 2 or whenever it was, to now, like I don't think I've become a worse Call of Duty player. That's not why I'm not playing in the league anymore. I just think that the talent got better. Like I don't think your age messes with you. The only thing that I think your age messes you up with is like I think sometimes when you get older, you prioritize going outside a little bit more and seeing family and friends a little bit.
Health,
I made a long ass video about
life and health.
Esports.
I think that is, but I don't think you get like significantly worse doing that. I think we're in the beginning of Call of Duty where like it started when we were all 14 and now we're all like 24, 25, 26 and a little bit older, where when we were all 15, 16, 17 years old, a BZ didn't exist yet. Like I wasn't playing against Hugh yet. You know what I mean? Like I just think the talent pool is just continuously every year.
Yeah, because they played against better people, right?
We have to understand that esports and a sports equivalent is not a good comparison. In sports, people have been playing baseball for over 100 years. People playing football for 100 years. Soccer has been around for more than 100 years.
Football.
There is like a very dedicated, you know what I meant.
Yeah.
It has been a very, very dedicated talent pipeline and eons and eons of knowledge of how to play those games. We are still learning how is the most optimal way to play Call of Duty, to play Fortnite,
different every year
to play
too.
CSGO.
Yeah. Yep.
These generational cycles are way more macro in esports than they are in sports. And so we're going to see these generational shifts just pop up and go away and pop up and go away very quickly. And I think that's what teams are recognizing. They're trying to get on that wave fast and see where it goes. And, it sucks for some of the vets who clearly do still have good ceilings, and it gets tough for the org when they're making that decision. And I kind of see that's sort of why teams are making that move. To be fair, though, I also think what happened this year is that it was sort of a game of musical chairs because one team knew that another team was making a move, and they were thinking they might make a move in a month, but they didn't want to get left holding the bag and not getting the player they wanted. So everybody was enticed to make all their moves at the exact same 2.5 week window. So I think that's kind of what happened this year.
All right,
I
so
don't know.
what trade were you talking about, Ben?
Yeah, I want to hear this.
I
Yeah,
really-
but
I gotta run soon, but I wanna hear
listen,
this.
Ben always does this stupid shit though, you
What do
know.
you
But
mean?
there's possibly train here. You can do that. And he does a bunch of fucking. He goes through a bunch of fucking scenarios that are never gonna fucking happen. They're just never gonna happen. But Ben, I would like to hear. What do you think?
So let's say you're a team like Florida, right?
Yeah.
And you haven't had the best of time with someone like Skies. I assume that org likes Big Wake and Neptune now. I think Big Wake's going to be a free agent at the end of the season, correct? I don't know if he signed an extension or not.
Somebody's got to go for him.
Yeah, but he's going to be getting offers left, right, and center. So that's all situation. So at some point, you know, if the LAG situation blows up and maybe they're looking to retool the team, maybe it's Skies plus another player for Reese Vivid, or maybe it's Skies for Reese Vivid straight up, and maybe there's cash on the other side to make the deal even out. Again, I have no idea how these teams prioritize talent on both sides, but I'm saying that the Reese Vivid situation, because of the instability on his team potentially and another team potentially, you get in a situation where you can actually some players going in either direction, and it's not just like essentially a buyout for that player's current contract.
Okay, but who? If you were LAG right now and you wanted to trade Reese,
What is the offer?
or there was
Reese.
another. No,
Well, hold on.
okay, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't, if it were me, first off, Reese would be in the starting lineup. I wouldn't have benched him, but I'd be building around Reese. What have I said on this show time and time again, Tom, about LAG? I have said Reese Vivid is really, really good. They need to try and find this year a second player that's a foundational piece. And so when it comes to all of these free agents on the market next season, in the offseason, you're like, look, we have two great players on our team. If you got a duo, great, we'll take him too. If not, we'll take you, find another player, and suddenly we have a great team. But instead now they've kind of ruined that relationship with Vivid, and they put themselves in a little bit of a trickier spot. Now, can that relationship be salvaged? Sure. But that's why I disagreed with that move to begin with, because it didn't align with what I thought was a very obvious core progression on that team.
Yeah, the move doesn't work. I'm just saying, and I wasn't roasting Ben. A bunch of fucking Lumas coming in.
I was talking about hypothetical
because
trades.
I told this guy that these fucking hypothetical trades don't work. Guys, all I'm saying is trades never happen in COD because, for instance, just think of Vivid. He's a great player. You want to trade for him. It's like, who's going to fucking get rid of in order to trade for Reese, you need to get a good player in return, or they're not going to fucking trade him. They're not just going to trade him for anybody. If another team,
you can get an average player and then a lot of cash. I mean, again.
But then that's not a straight up trade. Then that's not a straight up trade, though.
No,
that's
it is
like
a trade. It's a player, and then.
I mean, you're basically selling the guy and getting a player in return. I'm talking about straight up trade for trade. A straight up this guy for this guy.
When is John gonna get on the team? Can he even get picked up? Juanito?
He can, but I mean.
Yeah, somebody's got to pick him up, bro. We got to see him back.
He's been, bro. John's been looking good. I've been watching John. He looks really good when I watch him play.
I've been waiting.
He looks like his old self, man. He's been playing really fucking good. He took Zinni down yesterday. Zinni, your thoughts?
He had shoes in? What happened?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Nah, Zinni's fire alarm went. You didn't see the fire alarm?
No, I didn't.
His fire alarm went off first map on our map pick, and then they lost first map, then they went last map, and they went all the way to the fucking wire. So it was a good series. It was a good fucking series. But I mean, I think John should 100% get a chance. But there's
what happened to loans, by the way?
We can say it again, but
I know what Zinni's gonna say. Yeah, not enough spots. Yeah, not enough spots. Zinni says this every day, every time we turn the show on.
We truly don't have enough spots. It's genuinely what it comes down to. There is not enough room for every player that everybody thinks should be in the league to be in the league. It's legitimately not possible.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you lost 12 players from the league last year, and that's how some players on the outside.
We need 4 more teams then, huh? We need you to have your own squad, man. It's crazy.
We need
more than 4. We need like 6 or 8 teams.
We can get 8, bro.
We'll have a Shanghai Dragons. We get 8.
Well, I disagree completely.
We wouldn't be able to get 8 competitive teams.
Yeah,
I think that's cap.
I 100%.
Yeah, that is cap.
Wait, so we will or won't?
You think
I think we get away with max 4. Beyond that,
I think you're completely wrong.
Well, but think about it, Zen. It's not just players. It's like who's coaching the team. Like, what's the stability structure around the team? I don't know if there's enough talent out there in COD right now where you'd have like that like 16th and 18th team.
We'll have a Shanghai
team,
Dragons for
doing
sure.
all the basics and not getting smoked every day.
I think if we I mean maybe 8's too much. I think 6 would probably be pretty good.
I think 4 is money
but
right now.
I think 4 is money.
4 would definitely
be 16 would be good.
Yeah, but you're forgetting that we still, bro. First off, there's a lot more NA players than other regions, and and then it's like, so what? I think we need a Spanish team.
If you add 8, Challengers becomes absolutely horrible. First of all,
I disagree because
I don't.
Bro, think about it, right? You get a Spanish team, you get 2 UK teams at least, and then you can even do an APAC team and do 4 US teams. You can't tell me that 4
How
of these elite
would the
challenger
APAC
teams.
team play? They just have to play in the States, all these teams?
I mean, I'm assuming so. I definitely think there's room for players like Luca and Shocked and those players to get back in. I mean,
not even those guys, the new guys, the newer guys.
My issues in is not like, oh, you can put 4 players on a roster. Like, one of the reasons why I think the league is so competitive right now is that you have 12 teams that are doing all of the basics that some teams were not doing 2 years ago.
Are we acting like we need 20 teams who all can win for a good
No,
league?
what I'm saying is that if you have 20 teams, at least 3 or 4 of those teams are not going to be out here doing the necessary basics to be competitive.
Okay, but how is that any? Okay. Even if
we
you're
know
right,
this
how is that different
we
than
see what
any?
happened in CWL.
How is that different than any pro sports team? You will always have dominant teams and teams who are shit.
That's cap because at minimum in pro sports, again, have been around for 100 years. There's no shortage of coaching talent and assistant coaching talent and analyst talent to fill out these front offices. I have questions about COD because it's not like there are a million COD coaches just sitting out there in the void ready to coach a team.
But how do you know? How do you know it's gonna be 2 UK? It could be 3.
No.
He doesn't know. He's just giving ideas as to how.
That's what I'm saying. But it comes down to that too.
It's the best players. It doesn't
by the way,
matter.
in American sports, you have a draft too. So the bottom tier teams are going to have
opportunities
a talent pipeline to at least make the right. Now they don't always do it, but make the right decision and get some cornerstone players. In European soccer, the top clubs have these academies who are spending millions and millions of dollars every year on scouting players, developing players, so they have a consistent pipeline. And if that doesn't work, they're just going to go.
And that's where the staff becomes massively important. And to Ben's point, 8 more teams, we might have a shortage of that.
I just think you guys are
and that's when we have some stinkers. But no, we're not gassing it. We just disagree. I think 4 is money.
No, I mean, for example, right? Like this year is super competitive, right? But if you were coming into this year, there were at least a couple teams who you're like, these guys are probably going to be bottom of the pack. And then they're competitive. So I think you're gassing the fact that 8 teams can't be competitive because first off, there's a lot of talent that most of us here don't even know about. Like I guarantee you, most of us know nothing about European challengers.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing about the players in Spain. Nothing about the players in Australia.
It's 36 players in if you're talking about 8 teams now. 8 times 4.
Yeah.
32 new players.
32.
I mean, are we saying that there are 32 players that would be like CDL pro capable?
No, but what he's saying is
I think so. I think
so
if you incorporate all these regions, and on top of that, you got to think that some of these talents are underdeveloped just because of the regions. Like, I'm not saying that the European teams and the Australian teams are worse than NA teams, because clearly those guys are really good and they're competitive and they played well in all the amateur tournaments prior to COVID and stuff like that. But when you come to the States and you're scrimming against all these pro teams every single day, a lot of these talented players are going to just get way better. And the league is going to become more competitive. I'm not saying 8 teams is perfect, but I'm saying a lot of these teams and a lot of these players are going to get better regardless of what region they're from. They might not be pro caliber right now, where if you threw them into a match right now, they're going to compete with FaZe, Optic, whatever. But you got to give them time. You got to give these regions time to develop. And the only way that's going to happen is if they expand the league and allow all these teams to start competing against all the other CDL teams.
Yeah, well, if we're talking about 32 players, if we're talking about 32, there's 100% 32 players that are available. There's so much talent out there.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, Chris is coming back. We're all fucking coming back.
Do it.
I mean, bro, that's not even an argument. There's so much talent, and you can make a whole shit ton of teams down there to come up in the pros and make a name for themselves, without a doubt. Now, like what Parasite said, will they come in and start taking some of these top teams? Probably not. But I mean, like Zinni said, you don't need every team to be a fucking god squad. I think the more teams, the better. Fuck it. I think the more teams we get in there. I mean, obviously, I don't want to see
expansion would be great.
Yeah, I could see there being more than 4. I have a feeling it's only gonna be 4.
Well, I think this discussion started at like, can the league be extremely competitive with more teams? And we were like, yeah, with 4 more, I think it'd be extremely competitive. And then it just became, do we want more teams? And it's like, yeah, of course, we all want as many teams as possible. Want the league to be awesome. Yeah. But in terms of full, like the best competition, I do think 4 would be fantastic. I think, if we get to 8, we'll have some stinkers, like you said. But yeah, I think we just lost track of where that combo is going.
Yeah, but there's gonna be a lot. You gotta think, bro. If we get some expansion teams, there's gonna be a lot of A lot of open jobs going around, man. We're gonna have GM spots, coaching spots, player
That would be living
spots.
life, bro.
It's gonna take
Back and forth.
it's gonna take a
All
while
kinds
for
of
those,
shit.
it's gonna take a while for those teams to scale though. That's my concern. Maybe 5-10 years in you have a full competition there if you're at 20, but like I think for a few years those teams
Let them
would
all in.
have a lot of up and downs.
Yeah,
Let
of
'em all
course.
in.
But that's
Yeah,
going
bring
back to what
everyone
you were
in.
saying, Ben.
More
Like
competition, the better.
we've had actual sports around for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? And we've had COD not even close to
Yeah,
that
and
number.
that's why the Vegas Knights can come in and absolutely fry their first season because they do it right off the break and they bring in talented people. I'm just saying with COD, it's only been around for not that much longer, so the teams would have to strike gold initially, but more likely will be what we've seen a lot with these teams, which is it's gonna take them a couple of years to figure it out.
So I'm going to talk about just an example in my head real quick and call me.
With no draft.
So back in Black Ops 4, FaZe didn't qualify for the Pro League.
Yeah.
You have a team with Zoomaa, Celium. Sorry to bring up bad memories. And
What are
it's
you
like
gonna do?
they lost to teams that you would consider not.
Shit. You can
Yeah,
say it.
like
They
yeah,
were
like
shit.
like
Yes.
you like.
But then they
that-
fried in the open bracket.
No,
Nah,
we
you're
didn't try
thinking,
to open
you're
bracket.
thinking of
Am I
something
thinking of a
else.
different event?
Yeah.
And then they
You're
got
thinking,
top
That's
you're
four?
thinking
Black team,
of
which
you're,
is the
you're,
greatest.
you're thinking of when we were shitting
Oh,
the sheets
yeah.
in 2Ks and we went to LAN and just went through
Yeah,
the
that
storm
was
through the
nasty.
open
Okay,
bracket and
my
got
bad.
top 4.
Continues in.
Yeah.
Continues in.
But no, all I'm saying is like there's just a lot of untapped talent, and I don't think any of us can, even me. Like I'm assuming that there's definitely 8 competitive teams. I could be completely wrong, but I'm confident that you can at least do a couple European teams, an APAC team, and have people compete. And
No, I agree with you.
But then they get put in this box. So my only thing is like I didn't hate that box where it's like, oh, the European team only has to have European players. The APAC team only has to have APAC players.
I
Like
see what you're saying.
those teams need to mix it up and start getting some North American players who have won to kind of bring the values and the
process.
structure, which is why those North American teams have won for so long. But it's just
or
gonna
a
be
North American
difficult.
coach.
Think about it. Like if you've got 20 teams competing for one player, and you've got these expansion teams that don't have that great of a pitch because they just started, it's going to be a real struggle for them to get these players. They're going to have to absolutely nail their pitch off the break and have some kind of perk to entice these players to sign.
Would
And
Zinni
maybe
be
they
saying this
and
if he
maybe
wasn't
they
in the
offer
league?
high salaries, and then we have the same problem we had in year one, which is then if those teams don't work out, suddenly that team is hesitant to then spend money again. It becomes a very tough cycle. Is all. I'm
Wait,
saying.
chat. I can assure you, Zin would be saying the same thing if he was
Yeah,
in the
I'm
league. More
confused. What-
teams,
yeah,
he's
wait,
getting more
no.
offers, and
it
he's
makes no
more
sense.
opportunity.
It literally makes no sense.
Ben, but-
If I'm arguing selfishly, I will always say more teams.
Ben, I was
That
going to
just makes
say
no sense.
that bringing in all these new teams could also expand the talent and make it less top heavy, because I'm not saying this goes for everyone, but more players might be enticed to take like higher contracts rather than
salaries?
staying on the
Yeah.
rather than just staying on their roster right now, getting underpaid when they feel like they're valued way more by a different team, which could in turn just spread superstars that are currently in the league and veterans into other franchises, which
Yeah,
would
but
then
hold up.
help that.
The superstar players are going to group together, which is what we've seen.
Yeah,
They're
that's what I
not.
was
They're
gonna
not
say.
just going to break off.
I mean, I'm not saying you're going to go through
because-
because
Kind of,
Well,
because
I
then,
disagree.
then we
No,
start
no,
talking
no,
about
no,
money. We start talking about money, and
Well,
all of a
yeah,
sudden,
then, look how it's working out for Sam Octane. I'm sure he's
Yep,
enjoyed
that's
being
exactly
on
what I was gonna say.
uncompetitive
Like,
teams for 2 years.
I think people have learned lessons from that situation.
Case in the
Okay,
bag
but
is
his
great
teams-
until you're not winning, and then
but his-
suddenly you're not happy.
I mean, yeah, but those teams weren't. Sam didn't join Seattle strictly for money and just have a shit team. The teams that they had were expected to be good. It's not like he chalked it up.
Yeah, but all those
fucking team
players
with
got.
shitters.
But it was a team. It was a team on paper. I could have told you that team did not deserve
I
to
mean,
get paid what they
kind of,
did.
Zin. Yeah, kind of.
They kind of got the friendship bag.
Those are
and then
definitely
now,
yeah. Those
now it's a
definitely a team
problem.
where I just didn't think they were going to be good when they were
And
formed.
that's the cycle you need to avoid when you have too many.
No.
Like, if you're building a league, you've got to pace out the. And Sam, I wasn't trying to throw shots at you. I know that was kind of a stray your way, but
You should have
if
played
you're-
with me and Max,
if
Sam.
you're the
love
league,
Sam.
expansion's great, right? I don't disagree with that takes in, but you don't want to just toss 8 new teams in the mix. It makes it really hard for those teams to all stand out and grow their brands. You need to pace it over time so each team has space to develop, build a fan base, get a cornerstone event maybe in their first or second year so people come and attend an event in their home market and they're like, holy shit, this is great.
I
You
can agree
can't
with
just
that.
drop 8 teams out there on the break because some of these teams are going to struggle to gain foothold and growth. And
Okay,
then
yeah, no.
what's your business model at that point?
I agree with your perspective, but I was strictly talking about player gameplay perspective. But with all that stuff, I 100% agree. The best thing to do is add 4 teams if you want to give every single team the chance to
Yep.
grow. Because first off, I don't even think the current teams have had a great chance to actually grow. Like how they intended, right?
Well, COVID hasn't helped either.
Like everybody was planning on having these home market events, and we were never supposed to even play online, and you know that's also a big
3 to 4
revenue
months
stream.
in, and then COVID hit. Like it was definitely a shitty situation.
That's why I was assuming, to be honest, and I kind of wish we'd went this route, is that every team we did with Overwatch did. We played at a Burbank or whatever studio, and yet every single team playing on LAN in the same location, growing the fan bases, and then you do the homestands and the events, and the fan base is already somewhat built.
Yep, we got thrown a curveball.
Not a bad idea.
I think that was a good discussion. I think that was
a great discussion.
Interesting
Boys,
thoughts.
I gotta go. I'm
Yeah,
announcing my
later,
departure.
Chris. Later,
Love you,
Crowder.
love you,
Thank you,
guys.
thank you,
Bye,
man.
Blank. Bye, stream.
Later,
Bye,
later,
boys.
bro. Let's get a
Appreciate you
router
guys
in the
having me.
chat. Let's get a
Have a
fucking
good one,
router.
bro.
And I see a lot of people talking in the chat. Like people are saying they don't even know if there's gonna be expansion or what. I could tell you, and I'm gonna drop a fucking hot take. Put it on Reddit and shit. I'm pretty sure
User
80. I'm like
disconnected from your
80,
channel.
90% sure we're seeing expansion. I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident we're gonna be seeing expansion.
Shit,
I mean-
that would be lit.
I'm pretty confident. Now listen, I'm a
If
pretty
we
big,
get a,
I'm a pretty big deal. Like
we,
you know,
if we
I
get an
know some
Ohio
people.
team, I'm fucking in there.
Oh, we love
Listen.
an Ohio team, bro.
And I may or may not know a couple cities that might be coming in, but that I cannot
Okay.
say. But I do think that there's expansion teams coming on
You're
the way.
one real fucking asshole. You're like
He's an absolute
yeah,
asshole.
no,
Yeah.
What do you
you're
mean?
actually a prick. You're that guy
What's
who's
wrong?
like,
He's like,
you're
yo,
that-
yo,
you're that
you
friend
know
who's
what
like,
just
yo.
happened, guys? You want to hear? Oh no, actually, I can't say it.
Yeah, no, you're like, yeah, you're like that
Come
friend
back.
that's like,
So
yo,
I didn't-
Zen, I found
so-
something out. I found something out, but I can't
Listen,
tell you,
listen.
bro.
This
You
was,
should fuck this guy up,
but
then.
this was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of listen. I know for a fact that we might see some expansion teams coming in. Now there's some more of it that I cannot say, but I gave them some intel. Now I can't give them all of
Get
it.
Crone on it. Crone, get on it.
Listen, I can't give you guys all of it. I can't. I mean, listen, I get in a lot of trouble, and I don't want to get in no trouble. So, listen, man, I'm hearing there's some expansion teams coming in. The cities that are coming in, I'm not.
Get in Ohio.
I'm not 100. So there's cities that I've heard, but I'm not 100%
I
sure.
would not toss out city names on this show, Tom. Let's not get in trouble with the Call of Duty League, brother.
I mean, hold on. We can say one because that was all over Twitter. DC was talked about.
Yeah. I mean, to be
Yeah,
fair,
that's fair. That
I mean,
was
these
reported that
are
there was some
rumors that
interest
these are rumors that I'm hearing though. This is stuff that I was being told.
There's an ESI article, Esports Insider article. I think the two names that were tossed in an article were Charlotte and DC.
Why?
What do you
No, I
mean,
mean,
why?
What do you mean why? DC makes sense. I mean, the Washington Justice already are a franchise in the OWL.
Charlotte.
Listen,
We need to get.
Charlotte's a good media market.
We need Vegas, man.
Yeah, we need Vegas. We need Ohio. We need
Columbus. We need Columbus. We need
Columbus
Vegas.
would be absurdly lit.
We
man, I'm telling you.
need Philly.
Philly would be lit.
bro,
yeah.
you're saying Columbus because you live in fucking Columbus.
Yeah,
Wait, no,
and I
Columbus
know,
is a
and I know
dope
the
city, bro.
untapped
You got
potential of the city.
4 teams to come in, and you want Columbus? You want Ohio?
Yes, I do.
I
I, think
actually
it's one of the best cities in the country.
I'm looking at Philly. I'm looking at Vegas.
Philly sucks.
Nah, but not for like.
I thought Philly would be pretty cool. Pretty
I got
cool.
food poisoning in Philly. That place is ass, dude.
To be honest, I think we need like a Brooklyn team or like a second New York team.
That'd be cool.
Second New York team.
Yeah,
That'll be
actually.
nuts.
Okay.
Wait, LA has 2 teams. Why not give it to the other
Yeah, you
biggest
could.
city?
Yeah, you could do that. You see another New York team coming in. That would be
I
fucking nuts.
I agree with the Vegas play. I think that would be
Boston would be cool.
Boston would be
a
dope.
Denver, a Vegas, a Boston be cool.
People
yeah.
are saying Vancouver. I don't want
Vancouver
to.
be
I don't
dope.
want to see it. I don't want to see Vancouver.
No, honestly though,
Vancouver's
what
a
would be
cool
like
city.
the
What are you
most
talking
lit?
No, I know it's a cool city. I didn't say it was a bad city. When I say that?
Vegas be the most.
Vegas would be the
Vegas
most
would be
lit.
the-
be the most
Vegas
lit.
would be dangerous.
That team would be horrible.
Guys,
dude,
you
100%.
guys have not seen the Call of Duty players.
That team would be
Yeah,
horrible,
that team
bro.
might shit.
Yo,
Might
I
be
got
shit.
fucking. We got smoked today in our match, bro. Let's hit the strip.
Bro, people have
Go-
not seen
go for a
COD
Fat
players pulling up
Tuesday.
to Vegas, dude. It is fucking dangerous. We've had events in Vegas. Dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then-
All
and
right,
then-
outside of Vegas, though.
Houston would be dope.
And
be cool.
here's the thing, and this is the one thing I want to say: when if some of these expansion teams, if they do come in, bro, can they
User
please
was
be
moved to
fucking
your
smart
channel.
with their decision making? Because I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these expansion teams or some of these teams come in and they have no idea what the fuck
No,
they're doing,
this
bro.
one
That-
starts
that's
with
not-
Tom.
it's
It
not the
starts
easy
with
way to
hiring.
put it.
The first hires an expansion team should literally be GM and coach and have them have a good dynamic and then
Yeah,
build your roster.
but then the GMs and coaches sometimes blow my fucking mind.
I
I'm
know,
like,
I know,
why?
I know.
Why?
Because this is what happens. They don't want to spend money on those positions, and then this is what happens. Their team sucks, and they end up hiring different people in these positions, and then
Hold on.
team gets better.
I don't
I
hate
wanna- I
Canada.
wanna
Somebody said I
contest
hate
this.
Canada. What's wrong with you? I love Canada.
Guys, I want to contest this.
fuck is
because
wrong with you guys?
I think a lot of teams did do this and then got terrible advice from the coaches they hired because the coaches
Well, that's what
felt
I just said,
obligated to
Len.
spin into the friendship league.
That's what I just said.
You had teams like Atlanta FaZe, and I know Chris just left, but I know how that situation went down. They told Chris and RJ and Austin, you know, what's the team you guys want to build? And so they put together a good ass team. But there were other teams that went down that route, and they really struggled with the team they built.
I don't know. I feel like FaZe is like an anomaly because it's like, well,
that's what I'm saying.
Crowder is the obvious
that's not a proven recipe.
Coach, and then you have like,
yeah.
I mean, hold on. First off,
but Chris. You know Chris has got a good eye for talent.
Here's the thing. It's all about who you know. And all it takes is you to fucking, for example, I could be the worst coach in the league. If I get into the right person's ear and I'm saying things they want to hear, they're not even going to talk to anybody else. It's like, all right, this Methods guy seems pretty cool. He's been around for a while. Let's fucking bring him on.
Well, it also matters, like, yeah, who you know, and then how much money they're giving you to work with as well. Like, that's gonna
change again. That's gonna change when we've been in esports for 10, 15 years, and there are a lot of GMs and coaches out there moving around the carousel, and there's institutional knowledge. You have to consider that the teams came in and there's zero institutional knowledge, and they're just rolling the dice on someone who has institutional knowledge. And it's not like people were making amazing roster changes before we were in franchising. Remember that. It's not like some of these orgs were making the greatest teams back when we didn't have franchising. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that it's carried over the last couple of years.
Yeah, the main thing I wanted to say.
We play a new game every year. It's like
you have to make a team before it comes out.
It's not easy to gauge which team. For example, I'll argue again that Seattle team coming off of Black Ops 4. You have Octane, you have Karma, you have Enable, who just come off. Are you
trying to justify the players they picked up on that team?
Wait. I actually forgot. Who are the other two?
Because I would not go down this argument, brother.
Karma.
I really don't think that is that bad of a team, especially before a game comes out.
That team was terrible because in no world are the 5 players in that team were going to be good at search and destroy. And you knew what was going to happen with Damon. It's easy to say in hindsight. You knew that Damon was going to struggle to not team of players that either grinders or players that weren't on Optic. That's what happened on a lot of teams he's on. So I think it was easy to predict what was going to happen with that roster. It was easy to predict the meltdown with. No, I'm not capping. Because Tom can back me up because these were exact combos that Tom and I were having when these teams formed.
There's no way. There's no way to know.
Tom, when the old Seattle team formed and the old OGLA team formed, what did I say about those teams back in the day?
You said they were shit.
Yeah, I said that the Seattle team was going to suck at search.
I mean, I could say that about search, but there's no way to know. Dude, Octane was literally in his prime.
Yeah, Sam was in his prime, but there were 4 other players that get on the roster. I'm
gonna be honest. I agree with Ben. I mean, the roster on paper didn't look good to me either. I mean, in the beginning of the year, I didn't think those teams were gonna make that many.
It didn't look like the best team in the game.
I'm not saying these guys. I'm looking at the roster on paper and saying they're shit. I'm saying I'm looking at all the other rosters who they're going up against, and I'm putting all the rosters on a piece of paper and I'm lining them up, and I'm like, wow, this team's not gonna lick top 6.
I saw the
what?
Yeah, hold on.
I saw the.
What do you mean?
Yeah, go ahead, Zen.
First off, their initial plan was Arcides and Envoy, and then Huntsman stole them. So their plan, that team would have been a lot better. But then it's like, okay, our plan A fell through. Now we have to go to plan B. And I still don't think their plan B was a horrible team.
In a sec.
Like that team, you didn't look at that team and go, that's a bottom 3 team.
No way.
Wait, which team? Who are we talking about here? Seattle or Optic?
Everybody was counting Seattle.
We'll talk about Optic in a minute because TJ, I'm not saying your team was bad. It was about inconsistency with your team, and that was a struggle. I think what Seattle should have done is not.
Nobody's saying anyone's bad. Just to make that clear, nobody's saying anybody's bad.
This is the mistake that teams have done, and I talked about Namos, the team that you were on earlier, that World War II EG team. It's like, not always putting together like 4 or 5 veterans together just because they have won before in some combinations always means that's going to be the best team on paper. What I think Seattle should have done is there were some young players out there at the time that they should have taken a chance on and try to develop those players instead of trying to make some veterans
always happens.
work.
That always happens when a team has a chance to make a fucking play and then pick up a player.
That team could have been very good. I mean, we're switching to a game. We don't know how it's going to be. You have solid players all around. I mean, it's not like App was ass. Like, App had just won a world championship recently. Octane is literally in the middle of his prime. Like, Karma's fucking Karma. He's going to do the dirty work. Like, the team was solid, bro. We also on the team. Enable, like, dude, he was coming off of a good team. Like, bro, that team was solid going into the game. There was
We also,
Bro,
we
when
also
that Seattle team was made,
not when you saw the teams like.
when that
go
Seattle,
ahead.
because I haven't been able to fucking speak at all.
Yeah,
when
go
that
ahead.
Seattle team was fucking made, bro, I remember the only thing we were talking about was that team's not gonna work. That's all I remember. The pacing was way. The minute I saw that roster, so that's not working. The pacing's not. It's way off compared to what. That was the first thing I said. The first thing I said.
You saw the Atlanta team on paper, the Dallas team on paper, the Chicago team on paper, and I was like, wow, these teams are really fucking good. It's going to be hard for these other teams to figure out. I had OGLA as like my 4th best team because I thought on paper that team was really good.
I'm not
and
saying
they have to figure out the consistency issue that may have occurred.
I'm not saying, and I don't want anybody getting butthurt here. I'm not saying anything about individual players and their talent. I'm saying team composition, team dynamic. Those players as a team, that Seattle team was never gonna work. The minute it was made on roster, I said the same thing in the TeamSpeak, Ben. As soon as I joined, that team's shit. That team's not gonna work.
We were like,
That team, not the players on the team. That team, it just wasn't gonna work. It just wasn't gonna work.
We also were going into a game where at the time that all these rosters were getting announced, we were like, that was like around the MW beta time. That was when we thought the game was gonna be just pre-aiming, like a normal boots game, like nothing crackhead related.
Doesn't matter.
Like people didn't think that team was gonna be
no,
bad.
It doesn't, because
matter.
no, it doesn't.
Bro,
because it just because the talent is crazy. Bro, you could put this FaZe team, these Dallas guys, you could put them on fucking World War II. They're still gonna be the best. The players are not gonna change.
They didn't have those players. So in hindsight, obviously, yeah. Okay, looking at them, they're ass. But when the game was coming out, it's like, okay, we can't get these guys. This is the next best thing. And I think that they actually formed a fucking nasty roster headed into the game.
No,
it didn't play out.
I love you, Ant. I just feel like these conversations are so hard with you guys because I know it's really difficult to like be negative about guys that you've teamed with in the past.
That's not true at all.
Bro, listen, no. Now with all the shit we've seen over the last couple of years of Call of Duty, yes, this makes way more sense, and teams like that would not be formed. But at the time, I think it was justifiable.
It wasn't. It's not just about that game in a vacuum. I had seen this. Tommy, I've had this conversation so many times over the last 4 or 5 years. That's why I'm so heated about this, because I have seen too many teams recircle the wagons with players they've seen before in a different game, and it's just not going to work when the talent has gotten better. What I would have preferred that Seattle would have done that situation.
But that's the problem.
Get some young players, put them with the veterans, teach these nasty young players with ceilings on how to play Call of Duty the correct way, and they would have gone off. Instead, what happened?
I'm so confused.
Yeah, at the time, you're saying this now after we've seen like 2 years of this shit happening. But at the time, it was
longer
at the
than 2
time.
years, dude.
At the time,
2 years, then you haven't been paying attention.
What I'm saying, at the time, it wasn't like this.
You put your asshole in your mouth, and then you're talking out of your asshole. Because right now,
dude, it happened longer than Black Ops 4.
He's literally spewing.
Wait, it's been happening for years beyond that.
But who? Who would you have picked up?
Yeah, I would love to hear this.
Because the thing is, I'll go back to this. The challenger scene after BO4 started to develop way quicker with the amount of tournaments that we had. Because I've been down here ever since BO4. We've had so many tournaments and so much, and so we've just had so much competition that we've gotten to see a lot of players coming up and just way more new talent. Back then, we were completely separated, and the amount of talent that surfaced wasn't anything to like rave about. Like we didn't have very many people besides like Pharaoh and like
so let's
that whole
talk about
S&D
players they
scene.
should have picked up, right? So Asim's a player that looked pretty decent in Black Ops 4, but never got a pass. And then he ended up going to Minnesota, and now he's on New York and he's playing well. Kleenex Friday champs, and then this guy sent on Toronto's bench because no one wanted him.
I am the biggest Kleenex fan. I played with him. If you're gonna take Kleenex's performance versus a shit Envy team and think he needs a top tier S tier pro team, you're fucking drunk.
Not only that, Octane wasn't going to play with him.
I just think
it was one tournament, Ben. It was one tournament.
You guys,
it was one tournament.
What do you mean Octane wouldn't play with Kleenex though? Like why?
I'm saying at the time, bro, there's no way he would have done that. There's no way he just came off of being literally like the best player in the game. You look at a player like Enable as well, like you're trying to appease those players as well and fill a roster that they would like to compete with. So it's like this sounds easy to do right now. It's what we've just seen, what we've seen this year, what we've seen last year, but it would not have happened at the time. And this is why I hate this argument.
Let's just say how it is. Let's just say how it is though. A lot of these pro players, a lot of these, especially veteran players, are scared to take risk. They're scared to take
where
risks.
I'm
Well, I
going,
think they're
like,
more open to it now.
And that's where Ben, and that's where, and that's what Ben, that's what Ben is trying to say. Ben is trying to say, we were talking about this 3-4 years ago, that some of these pro teams need to start taking risks on some of the younger talent because there's so much talent out there that people don't know about. And that's one thing that people praise Crowder for, or even me picking up young players. And at the time when I was picking up young players, I got roasted a lot. A lot of the pros would always make some side fucking comments. I always had to hear from other people.
Players?
Preston,
Asim, fucking Mac. When I picked up Mac, who the fuck is that guy? When I picked up Asim, this guy's picking up a Twitch mod. What a fucking idiot.
Wait,
when I picked up Cell, that kid was fucking cheating in IW. That kid's gonna crumble on LAN. Bro, when I picked up Preston, it was the big. I got the most hate out of anyone when I picked up Preston.
That was not a risk. Priesta was flying in IW.
Cell was not a risk.
Okay.
Literally
Nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted Priest after that fucking event. Nobody.
That's a different argument. Though.
Nobody. No, it's not.
Obviously back then, Tom, not a lot of people were going to take those risks, and you did, and it paid off.
No,
great.
you want to know what happened with Preston though? Is that his ex-teammate? I know exactly what happened. Which is nobody offered. The same thing happened to Dashy at the end of his team when he was teaming with a bunch of players who I won't throw under the bus either because they did the same shit to him. Veteran players team with a young player. They talk shit about him behind the scenes. Then all of these players who are forming teams don't want to team with the player. So suddenly that player ends up on another team and they figure it out. That's what happened with Preston.
Well, but
his ex-teammates. His ex-teammates roasted him, said that he was an idiot behind the scenes. Meanwhile, statistically, this guy was absolutely flying at the end of IW, and it was the easiest pickup of all time because we had
100%.
Zero competition assigned.
Let's also stop cutting the fucking bullshit. We're not gonna mention the other two names I said. Well, fucking Mac and Asim and these other fucking guys. We're gonna mention the one. Okay, Sally. I mean, okay. What about the other fucking two?
Well, here's the thing. At least for me about Mac, like a lot of teams just didn't know like any of these people, but like that whole circle, like Mac, Sib, all those guys have been playing like for so long, like the young kids, and they've always been hella good. You guys just picked up on it before a lot of other people did. But like
this has always been a problem in COD, though.
Yeah. Of course, but that's just because there hasn't been enough sample sizes to really
and now there has been.
And now there is. And
that's what we're saying is at the time for Seattle to do that. There's like now in hindsight,
what do you mean? Wait,
it seems like the easiest thing ever.
There was no reason for Seattle to take a risk when that team was made.
There was 100%
You guys are fucking drunk.
Fuck yourself.
Wait,
no, there was not.
Fuck you.
Hold on. You're telling me.
Don't talk to Ben like that.
You're telling me if you're Seattle and you saw a team of Simp, Abizi, Celia, Major Maniac, and Preston, and a team of Clay, Krim, Kyler, Shotzi, and Ender, that you weren't thinking, man, we got to find some young players.
Man, we
and
missed
try
out
and
on
make
all
a
the
deep
top,
team.
but
instead
on all
they
the
did the
top
move that a
amateurs.
lot of
So this
teams
is what we got to grab.
No, exactly what they should have done.
Okay, for example,
veterans
at the time, that's what I would have done. Now I wouldn't do that, but at the time, that is what I would have done.
That was people's problem at the time. That was their problem. That's why half the people fucking fall off. Is because they recycle players. They recycle players and they're shit for years, and then nobody wants to fucking play with them, and then they find themselves on the bench.
Tommy and I have been having this conversation since
been happening for years. It's starting to catch up now. Now it's starting to catch up.
Yo, Ben, wasn't Seattle one of the last
people
teams
are behind.
Exactly why they should.
Okay. They were one of the. So here's the thing. They were one of the last. They were one of the last teams to form. So you go back and look at all these teams that formed with all this young talent and stuff like that. They had picked up all of those pieces that were even like relatively known within the scene. At that point, if you're Seattle and you're taking a risk on young players, you don't have very many options. You don't have very many sample sizes. At that point, all you can really think about is like Kleenex and that team. You can't think of anyone else.
And that's literally what I just said.
There's nothing else for them to pick
up. You literally just described it in your statement. Like if you look at Empire, you look at FaZe, and you see all these top young players.
They took them all.
Well, shit, we can't get any of them, so fuck it. Let's get the better players. Let's get the good players.
There were so many young players that could get signed. And half these guys that I got when they were young, nobody wanted. And then when I picked them up, I find out people are yapping and fucking TeamSpeak calls.
There was nothing.
Why didn't you pick up Mac to start the season then, Tommy? Why didn't you pick up Mac before the season started then, buddy?
I found that midway through the season. I found that guy midway
before the season
way.
started,
He
though.
wasn't
It
a
would've been
thing.
nasty.
Yeah.
Because hindsight's
Exactly.
2020.
I
Cap,
didn't
buddy.
have control in New York.
relax.
No. This is bullshit. Because if they're gonna ask me a
One
question,
at a time.
all right, then
Talk
let me
about the New
go.
York
Then let me go.
situation.
Then let me go.
Talk about the New
Why
York
didn't you pick up?
situation.
Why didn't you pick up Mac? First of all, I was one of the last players to join New York. I almost didn't get on that team because they got Bobble on the fucking team. Then they picked up Lamar. Then Lamar got Dylan, and then it was Lamar, Dylan, and Bobble building a team. And I was trying to talk to New York, but they weren't answering me. I almost didn't get on that team. I almost ended up on Dallas. I was talking to fucking Krim. I was going to join Dallas. New York was the bread and fucking butter for me. So I had no say on that team when it came to the roster or anything like that. Now,
That
back
was a
on
bad team on paper, too, but we can talk about that
and
on
back
later
on
date.
phase. And yeah, I didn't really, on paper, it was okay.
Yeah, you
But-
actually never picked up Trey. I
but
love
back
Trey, but
on
that
phase,
also didn't make any
back
sense.
on phase
Ben's
where I
the
had the
hindsight king,
power,
bro.
I always made moves when I had the power on phase. Always made moves. When I was on phase, I always tried to make moves and do stuff like that. During the middle of the year, I was the one who pushed for Mac because we were shit and we needed another player like that. And I found Mac playing with the amateurs. I found him in challenges doing all that stupid shit, and I pushed for Mac, and that's how we got Mac.
I'd like to talk before next, please.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Dude, there's so much.
Okay.
I love
You
this
did
conversation.
not know who Mac was until MW.
Yeah, he did it. He
What?
didn't know.
Listen up.
Okay,
Listen up.
what
hold
does
on.
that have to do with anything?
Hold on.
What does
You
that have to
didn't-
do with anything?
No, can I talk, please? You did not
Go
take
ahead.
a shot in the dark risk. You made a calculated risk off a
Yeah.
player who has been
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah, but
that is
Tommy
completely
has-
different.
Tommy
No,
has-
no.
Can I
Get the
talk
fuck
now?
out of here. No,
What do
get
you
a
mean?
player that's frying. He's frying. Let's get him on the team. No, I watch players. I watch players and see if they're good at COD. I pay attention. I don't just pick up a kid who's fucking
okay.
frying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom,
There's a
but-
reason why
but you watched
every
him.
single young exactly. What am I gonna do? Fucking just pull him out of a fucking hat and throw him on a fucking
but
team?
that's the thing. At
But
the
that's what
beginning
you're
of the
saying,
roster
though.
for Seattle,
That's
it's
exactly
like
what you're
they
saying.
didn't
That's
have
not what
what
I'm
you're asking of
saying.
Seattle to have
No,
done.
I'm saying, guys, calculated risk. I'm not saying to just pick up a fucking player and throw him on the fucking. Listen, every young player that I have picked up has done great, has exceeded expectations, and that's not me fucking randomly picking people out of a fucking hat. And let me keep in mind, there's people that have picked up young players, and I was like, I think that kid's shit. It doesn't just because they're young doesn't mean that they're just gonna come in and just make a fucking name for themselves. I took a calculated risk. I really watched a player for a month or two before I picked him up. It wasn't just like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking throw this guy in the team.
Exactly, but
And besides
you're
Jason-
proving
So
our
what are you
point.
saying?
Hold on.
Yeah, you're literally
How am I
just kinda
proving
what
your
we're saying.
point?
Let
No,
me
you
talk,
guys are
please,
saying.
please. No,
All
you
right,
are
go ahead,
proving our point.
go ahead.
The whole argument is you guys wanted Seattle to take a shot in the dark, and now you're saying you scouted Mac for
Who's
1 to 2
who's saying a
months.
shot in the dark? Who's saying a shot? When did I say that?
Bro, okay, listen.
When did I
When did I
say a
say that
shot
either?
in the dark?
That's your words,
When did
brother.
I say
You
just
are
go out and
comparing-
grab somebody in the dark and just
Okay.
fucking pull them into the team? When did I
but
say
listen,
that?
Listen.
You saying they should have picked up some young generational talent, but that talent was picked up.
No,
They
Yeah.
were
Bro,
last season.
it's not even about right off the
Or
rip.
some
Even
young elite
as time goes on, and they start
But
shitting
that's
the
not
sheets.
what we're talking about. That's not what
No.
we're talking about. You said you looked at the roster, you're like, this is a dog shit team. Why didn't they pick up any young amateur players?
They could have-
And
they
we
could have
said,
easily
in
picked up young
hindsight,
amateur
that's easy to
players.
say after what we saw over the last 2 years.
They
But in the
could-
moment, that was really difficult
No,
to do.
I
Well,
said
but-
with
but
no,
Ansel,
I
let's
said
talk
with
about this,
Seattle.
though.
Hold on,
Go ahead.
I said with Seattle.
Haggie's been trying to talk for like 10 minutes.
All right, well let Haggy talk. I've been trying to talk for the last 40 minutes. I've been sitting here.
My
You've been talking
apologies.
over everybody.
My
Now I
apologies.
have. Now I have because I'm drinking some fucking wine and I'm starting to feel it a little bit.
Pharaoh, okay, so people in the chat are talking about Pharaoh. Pharaoh was not in the league
Alright, go
for
ahead.
for a
Yeah,
different reason.
that one's a little bit of a trigger.
Okay,
scenario.
but everyone else, when it comes down to it, all of these teams made these roster changes are at the beginning of the season, right? And Seattle got stuck with this roster. The only person that you could have really faulted them for not picking up is ASIM, because ASIM had obviously a stretch in the pro league prior to that. But everyone else that you're coming up with, like let's say
For who,
Mac, for
though?
example. Well, I'm just saying, like he's one of the players they could have looked at, right? Everyone else
sure.
didn't have enough sample sizes. Even you go to Kleenex, right? Kleenex had that one run at champs, and everyone's like raving about him off this match. And yeah, he's a great player and all, but like that's hindsight. Maybe you can only really fault them for the moves that they decide not to make midway through the season. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
like midway through the season, they barely made any changes. They were bringing on people from their bench that obviously didn't make sense. And I love the guys that were on there. You know, I love Proto, I love Pander, they're good friends of mine. But at the same time, they should have 100% made moves on players that were in Challenger sooner. Players like Standy, who obviously are good at this game. Players like like anybody on the Western roster back then, Awakening, Pharaoh, like they could have 100% made those moves quicker, but you can't fault them for their roster at the beginning of the season. The only person, like I said, that they could have really intensely looked at and made one of those calculated risks on Tom was like Asim, for example. So I agree that they fucked up later in the season, but you couldn't really do anything with the Seattle roster at the beginning.
I disagree, because they could have taken a couple of LAG players and kind of tried to make a mess of that situation.
Man, you are talking completely in hindsight out of your asshole.
Yeah, Ben and T, I agree with the sentiment.
I understand. I can agree. I could kind of agree with what they're saying. I was under the impression that you guys keep. I was just under the impression that you guys just weren't even open to young talent. Like, it just seemed like you guys are like, they were.
What?
Guys,
that's what it seemed.
No, the situation that they were in. You said they formed a shit roster for the situation they were in, and we disagreed.
So,
I brought Enable's in here. Enable's in here. I got Enable in here.
Everything that we've learned, I agree with what you guys are saying now.
But
at the moment, bro.
But all I'm saying is, Asim is a perfect example of how nobody wanted him. Nobody fucking wanted him.
His teammates were
let
not saying good things about him.
Let Enable talk.
Yeah, because they're fucking idiots. That's the fucking problem. That's the problem. All right, everybody quiet down. We got Enable in here. We got Enable. All right, yeah, Ian's in here. Go ahead, Ian.
I got a fucking wick in the chat. Wait, what is the conversation?
We got Dick coming in, ladies and gentlemen.
You want to know what happened? You want to know what happened with Seattle?
What's the situation?
All right, I'll give you guys a summary, bro. Here's a summary
that hasn't ever been aired, but go ahead.
So originally, okay, there was two options.
Yeah.
It was gonna be me, Sam, RCD's Envoy, and Slack on Seattle.
Okay.
Right? Or because Kyler wanted the team with us, but he wanted the team with Shotzi and Illy. Well, like at least one of them on Empire. Okay. So I wanted the team with Kyler. We all wanted the team with Kyler. We were gonna go to Empire.
Yeah.
Obviously. But it was mostly Sam, but Jerry also. They didn't want to take the risk on Shotzi and Illy, which at the time
they didn't want to take the risk on someone that had won the Halo World Champion.
So maybe I'm biased, but I was like, bro, this motherfucker won in Halo, coming from Halo. But they were like, he might not be good. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, we could team with because Kyler was down to just team with Shotzi basically. But we had a way better situation on Seattle, right? When it comes to salary, I'm talking a lot. That's not cap. I see Sam in the chat. So,
everybody's poking me trying to come in. Now Sly's trying to come in. Sam's coming to come in.
But anyways, what happened with Seattle? We all thought it was going to be that RCD's Envoy team.
Was moved to
they basically screwed us last second and went to Optic. And by that point, we had already kind of, not been in the Empire talks. They got Krim, they got Clay. So the only people that were available was Damon, because Damon was left out. This is the people that we know.
Wait. Ian, you forgot a point too. The reason we did not go to Dallas, which is before Shotzi and Illy were even a thing, is because I was getting held on Seattle. You forgot
Big Steve.
I was getting held on the organization.
That is true, but I know for a fact. Well, we all wanted to go to Seattle because it was a lot more money.
It was like me, you, Sam, and the reason we ended up staying on Seattle is because I was being forced on the roster because I was still under contract.
So obviously the LG situation aside, did Sam have other offers though as well? Because he was obviously coming off.
Sam had like every offer.
Yeah, it was Sam after Black Ops 4. Motherfucker could have went anywhere probably.
He had every offer, but so he chose a team with you guys over all those offers, correct?
But what happened?
We had like a team of 5 basically already.
Bro, we were literally expecting to all sign the contract with RCDs and Envoy. They were like it's down.
The only reason it didn't happen,
that probably would have been a really good team in that game. But then when they backed out last second to go to Chicago.
Another reason that happened,
there was no options. App was about to sign with Florida.
Yeah, he was.
We didn't have the team. Remember, Ian, though, Seattle didn't have their league spot confirmed yet, so they could not give an offer to RCDs or Envoy on paper yet because we were waiting for the league to like guarantee our spot or whatever. So that's literally the biggest reason of why we got sketched on, and that's why we got literally last second made our roster because we got sketched on. After all the teams were made, we got sketched on.
To be fair, talking about like the seam, you guys were saying like, oh, they could pick them up. I'll be honest, going into MW, if you're talking right after Black Ops 4, with me, Jerry, and Sam, I love Seam, and I think he's nasty at this game. But you're faded. If you think I'm taking Asim over Damon or App.
Yeah,
Damon and App
that's
were
what we're
both
saying,
very good at Black Ops.
In hindsight, yes, now because we've seen it work so many times.
But now hearing behind the scenes now that you guys went after Alec and Envoy and were trying to make other moves, now it's a whole different ball game rather than just.
Wait, hold on, we just said that.
I know. No, listen. I'm not. What's wrong with you, Nicholas? What's wrong with you? Let me talk. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
What were the other players you guys were considering at the time other than Damon and App and
I can't even talk anymore.
Hold on, Tom.
I mean, there weren't really any players because
so you guys had honed in on those players and you were looking at other options.
Look, we had been talking on that
you know
for
how
probably
it is.
a month, no joke.
Okay.
We had a group chat and text. We were talking in Discord. We talked with the Seattle owner. Everything was like confirmed. Like, I mean, this team was locked in. We were in a call. Ian, I'm almost positive everyone said they were down in a call together.
We thought that was going to be the
team.
We
were like, all right, this is what we're doing. This is what everyone's getting, like, salary-wise. This is it. This is done. And like we talked to the owner. Everything was done. And then, like I said, we got sketched on literally like day before, and all these teams already had created rosters now. At this point,
Clay and Chris already on creating a roster and signing a contract is the point I'm getting at. I know how it works in the pro scene, right? People are like, we're a team, but like it's franchising, so people still got to sign that contract.
I mean, all we had was verbal confirmation. That was all we could get because our team had not gotten confirmed a spot yet.
What I'm trying to figure out is in that situation,
there wasn't any other players though.
But who had signed of the players out there that had agreed to teams, how many of those players had actually signed a contract with that team?
I know New York was already all signed. I know, like, at the time,
we were the
last team to sign.
Yeah. We literally stole App from
Dallas
Florida.
was signed. Yeah, App was the only option, like, subs-wise. We were like, well, what the fuck are we going to do?
I know for a 100% fact, because the last thing I did on FaZe was do his transfer to ASIM. Was one of the last.
At the time, App was not a bad pick at all. At Champs and Black Ops 4, he was disgusting.
I'm not a bad pick. Over App at the beginning of MW. No shot.
Like, App was literally disgusting at the end of Black Ops 4. So was I. At the end of Black Ops 4, I was gross. So was App. Ian and Sam obviously had great success on 100 Thieves. Like, on paper, our team made sense. Whether people say it did or didn't.
I want someone to go find Ben's tweets of when Seattle was formed. I want someone to go back and find what Ben said about Seattle.
Because you won't find any, because I didn't tweet stupid shit like that. But there are plenty of people in this team speak that know exactly what my takes were at the time, and they're exactly.
Chat is being toxic, bro. But this was a good conversation.
That is a good convo. We're chilling.
You want to back me up at the time?
Ben, you want to know the difference?
Listen,
I can tell you the difference though.
Yeah, go ahead, Ian.
So look, Black Ops 4, right? And all. This is before franchising. All of these tournaments, there wasn't like, I mean, I don't even think there was a challenger scene. If they were good enough, they made it into the pool play. You know what I'm saying? We played all of those fuckers. No disrespect to some of them, the young kids, they were all ass.
Yeah,
like what do you think? Like at the time, what am I going to pick up? Fucking Blast over App? Or
even use Awakening.
Like Zappius, bro. We literally were beating them like 250 to fucking 50. Like, I'm not looking at them thinking, oh, he's next up.
Yeah. Are you gonna pick up Awakening after Black Ops 4 champs going into MW, knowing he's gonna be a god's gift after he dropped a 0.6 at COD champs?
Big Wig is not in this discussion.
No shot. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Pick up this young and upcoming talent. Awakening's fucking disgusting now.
Time out, because I'm getting circle jerked by like 6 people in this chat.
Whoa,
the point I'm trying to make here that I'm trying to understand is, you guys got sketched on by Alec and Dylan because they went to Optic.
Yeah, that was the first.
And my question to you guys is: you guys are saying that you didn't go out there and then just do a deep search of who else was out there. You were like, we're panicking, and now these are the players who are going to team up. Is that how that went down?
There wasn't anyone out there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Right, by the way.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Who was out there?
Got to tip it.
Bro. Nobody wanted Preston. Nobody wanted Asim. That's all I was saying in that conversation. That nobody wanted those players. And Mac was a player, yes, that I was scouting throughout the year. I don't know why all of a sudden people are like, why did you pick him up? I didn't know who Mac was. I didn't even say that.
These are all different arguments. We've had an argument where
I know we're going in
argument's done.
circles.
Done.
That's why this is a fucking let it.
Well, wait, Ben. I want Ben's opinion, Chris, on like
About what you guys
would-
should have done.
Yes.
So
like at that time,
my thought process for your team, and this is obviously not knowing anything about what Modern Warfare was going to be like as a game, which
say you knew that Alec and fucking Envoy backed out last second.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's me, Sam, and Jerry.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I think we had signed the contracts. Who would have you picked, or who would you have picked up?
So my thought process at the time, and then knowing the other rosters in the scene and looking how, like, obviously say what you want about Dallas, but you're telling me on paper that Chicago and Atlanta were in like absolute scary teams. I would have been like, let's try to find two players that are good respawn players, but can also give us a really good search backbone with good play styles, and roll the dice when we play those teams in that game mode. Because if we can figure out how to be a good S&D team, we're going to have a big edge on a lot of these teams that are unquote like nasty God Squad respawn teams.
Okay,
So what are
to be
some
fair though, hold
examples?
up. Let me just talk about that though.
Yeah.
The Dallas team, going into it, we all knew Hugh was nasty.
Yeah.
Even though I personally, maybe because I'm biased, was confident in Shotzi, even before seeing him play COD. Illy is still a question mark, because people think that every S&D star is automatically going to be a god, but there's been multiple of them who have just been a complete bust in the COD League, and they don't ever talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And
100%.
and Crimmy and Clay in Black Ops 4 weren't the best. So like they weren't necessarily like, pros weren't like, that Dallas team is fucking scary before MW started.
Yeah, no,
FaZe they were though. FaZe they knew.
100%.
FaZe obviously was a God Squad. But so that's what I'm saying. Who do you pick up? I'm not picking up ASIM over App at that time.
Listen, I'll give you guys this one. I'm thinking back, it was tricky for you guys because like you said, you guys, there was not many people on the market.
Tough.
I was talking from a broader perspective before, when I was saying, a lot of teams should start thinking about taking more risks going into a new year, especially with how much you could see them play now. But back in the day,
obviously.
Now
back
it's
in
easier to say.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's a lot easier to say. That's why I'll agree with you guys on that.
Here's
I
a
will.
question for you guys,
Now
'cause, like,
now with Seattle,
So we agree.
Yeah, I'm about to get to a point.
agree to disagree. Yeah.
My question to you guys is, so I don't know if they were signed at this point, because this is where I would have gone logically. Did at any point you guys consider teaming with like Blast Forward Decimate?
No, they were
not pick
average
those
as
players.
fuck at Black Ops 4. Why would I
would
pick
not
them
pick
up
those
over
players.
Seed or over App?
Decimate wasn't. Decimate
He
wasn't.
would-
Now,
I thought
compared to
okay,
App, it's night and day.
Look, I might be a little harsh on saying like they were average as fuck,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
got to think we had played those players in Black Ops 4
100%.
and Decimate, Blast, any player like that. What I'm trying to think of like the other young kids who got opportunity, like Zaptius. No disrespect to none of them.
Brack got a shot out in Black Ops 4.
I mean, Brack was solid, but like they weren't anything special. So why would I choose Decimate or Blast over fucking Apathy?
I agree.
Apathy was better than them at Black Ops 4, and he had more experience, and he was a world champion.
Well, okay. So Ian, so here's the thing. We've all, I think, came to an agreement that we can't fault you or the Seattle team for not like taking risk at the beginning of the season. But the one thing I will fault you guys for is, why the hell did it take so long to not only make changes, but you guys didn't even take a risk for the entire season?
Here's why.
That had
Here's why.
nothing to do with us.
Here's
Oh, well, I
why.
don't got to know that because my ass was riding the pine.
Listen,
The
contracts are guaranteed.
organization would not allow us to make a roster change.
Okay, well then the fault goes to them, not you
Anyways,
guys. But that's
that was the argument.
That's another
We-
thing.
we just came to a conclusion.
That wasn't the argument. The argument from Ben and Tommy is that roster, when it was put together, was the wrong roster.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They got proven wrong, and the argument's over.
Which I 100% still agree with.
First of all, and why do you keep saying this stupid shit? The argument's not over. I'm not saying that there was other people for them to pick up. I'm saying what I said, word for word, is that roster on paper going into that year, matching up against the other teams, now not looking at talent individually, everybody on that team was super talented.
But you and Ben are arguing different things.
No, exactly. I'm not arguing what the fuck Ben's arguing. That's why I'm getting so pissed off. Because that roster on paper, it just wasn't gonna work. It wasn't gonna work.
It was like a top 5 roster at that time.
All right, wait.
You're arguing different
No,
things.
are we looking at top 6, top 5? Or are we looking at a championship roster? What are we trying to look at here?
Based off BO4, based off
championship roster.
Based off BO4, that was a top 5 roster.
But I'm looking at team.
Top 5, though.
I'm looking at team dynamic. I'm looking at a team and their roles and their pacing and everything. What everybody should be looking at when they build a team. And I personally, and I'm sorry if it offends anybody, just didn't think that team was gonna work. I just didn't think it was gonna work.
And we were saying that at the time, Tom.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so either.
And that's all I was saying. And then on top of that, I was adding on how some of these players need to start taking more risks. Some of these veteran players, when they're still playing well and they have control of their teams, should start looking at some of these young talented players, and that there's a lot more risks that could be taken. Now, don't take a fucking shot in the dark. Take some calculated risk here and really take a look.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's the thing, right? Because and hindsight is 2020. Bro, going into that game, obviously we wanted Alec and Envoy, right?
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard.
But you got to think it's always a shot in the dark, no matter what, because every year the game's different. MW was
somewhat. You got to be calculated. Calculated shot in the dark.
Hear me out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like Tom, you were there when we played the fucking like alpha or whatever. I'm pretty sure. MW.
Yeah, I remember that.
MW was supposed to be a boots on the ground slow game, which it was in the beginning.
Were there at the test, and they were even saying it was slow when we were there testing the game.
So when you're looking at it, even though it wasn't the team that we wanted, if the game was supposed to be that slow, methodical pace, our team could have been solid.
But obviously it wasn't.
That's
where we argued.
You know what I'm saying?
In the beginning of the show.
You don't know what the game's going to be like before you make your team.
That's true.
I disagree with this take because it's exactly what Tom and I just argued about LG in the beginning of the show. If you knew the game was slow, wouldn't you want a fast team? Because that's what sets you apart.
What Ian is saying though is that you don't know what the game is going to be either. Like you're taking. You know what I'm saying?
I get that, but the issue here. In regards to your old Seattle team,
like Ben, our
is
AW
on two
team,
pieces.
FaZe AW, we were fucking the best team in AW. Black Ops 3, we were dog shit. From one game to literally the next because of the play style in the game, we just didn't work.
No, I actually don't think that was the problem of your Black Ops 3 team.
Okay, that's a different topic. But what I'm saying
I was
is,
there, and I think you guys had fundamental teamwork problems that you just decided not to address for 2 years. But that's a topic for another day.
That's fair. That's fair. But what I'm saying is, you don't know how the game's gonna play before you already have your team.
I agree with that, but I also saw Tom, and there are plenty of other people in here that can attest to what I was saying at the time. Which is I saw those top rosters and I said, these other teams are obviously not in a good position. That Atlanta team should have never been able to form that easily. That is a massive coup on their part that they were able to get Celium and Priesta and Sib and BC on the same team.
Sib on their bench.
That's a whole different conversation, though.
It is a different combo. It is.
Pull that together.
It is a different.
But my issue with Seattle and you guys and look, I think you guys also you guys were kind of played some gritty game 5s also in the beginning with your team that if you had run some of those series, I think probably you could have gone a different direction. But I also think that what you guys should have tried to have done is in a game when it was clear that it was going to, that you were going to need some kind of spark, some grinders on your team, that you should have explored some more riskier options, because we've seen what happened, Ian, with the team that you were on, that EG team in World War II in the beginning, where you guys kind of went for experience over some young players, some skill, and it didn't work out in your favor. And
it's a EG won champ, so they picked up a
totally different team.
It was still the same makeup though.
And that's the thing.
It was not. Three of you guys were off the roster at that point.
We're going in circles. We're going in circles, guys. We're going in circles because we keep coming back to this argument about taking the risk. They didn't have very many good risks to take. Not calculated risks.
But the argument is when they have the opportunity. No, I'm just saying in general over a broad statement, when teams have the opportunity to take risks, very calculated risk, bro, as long as you're paying attention to what's underneath you and looking at some of the players that are coming up, there's some pro teams that make very bad team decisions. Very bad.
100%.
Oh yeah,
I think
And-
with the
and-
sample
and-
size
and-
now,
and-
I think
and-
he's
and
making
there's-
the right
and there's
decision.
way more calculated risks that some of these teams could be making. That's all I'm saying. And
teams-
those are
teams
some
are
of the
gonna
risks
start-
that
Yeah, I
I
agree
have
with
done
that.
in the
Yeah.
past, and I don't want to get that taken away from me. Because one, nobody wanted Mac, nobody wanted Asim, nobody wanted Preston. I don't know why you guys think people just were dying hard for Preston. Nobody wanted to play with that guy.
Well,
Who the fuck is Priesta?
I'll expose now. Aches went around to the
Only
pro
wanted
scene.
Celium.
I'll expose Aches, and if he's in the chat, I'm sure he'll contest this. I know for a 100% fact that Aches went around to teams and talked shit about Priesta, and that's why it made it so easy for us
It's
to
just
pick
like
him
every
up.
other pro player does. When a player has a bad
yeah.
event or has a bad, they go over talking around, talking shit at the bar. He sucks. He sucks. We know the game. We know the fucking
Yeah.
game. We've been in it way too long. Way too fucking long. Where people,
to all of us.
and that's why you don't fucking listen to what any of these assholes gotta fucking say. You just look
Yeah.
at it for yourself and you make your own fucking opinion.
That's another issue. There's just not a lot of people in the scene that are really good at cultivating talent and being patient with some of these young players. And as just as well as there's not a lot of players and organizations that are doing the research necessary to kind of see what's out there. But it's getting better, and I think you see that this year with the amount of like players being picked up and the amount of success some of these young amateurs have had. But also, like I said, with the prior argument, you can't really fault the Seattle roster for not taking any of these calculated risks early in the season.
And that's all,
And
that's all we're arguing.
And then when it goes to later in the season, they had a lot of tools and a lot of tournaments to look at to like make these calculated risks. They couldn't do it because of the org. All of this literally just goes back to literally the Seattle franchise. I'm not trying to take a shot at them, not letting them make changes. So even if you're sitting there and saying, okay, Sam and these guys are looking at challengers and they're like, oh, we want to get this guy, and the org is just not letting them do it, like, it's just unfortunate. And
Here's
at that point,
let me tell you some intel real
here's
quick
my
from the
final piece of this,
organization.
Jerry, really first, is
Go for
Chris
it.
Crowder has been running this strat for like 6 or 7 years and winning championships. It's not exclusive to just a couple of teams this year. Chris has been doing this maneuver on quite a few teams, and apparently he's the only one that's had an idea. And I know you, Parasite, by the way, have been doing this too in your career, understanding, finding our talent and cultivating it. Too many people in this scene, and I've gotten pissed over 4 or 5 years, just watching a lot of teams just building with veterans and not going in for risky and young talent and trying to develop players, and they wonder why their results just aren't getting where they
Why
want
the
to
fuck
be.
does
different now,
Pac-Man
though.
keep saying cap? I've seen him say cap 20 times. Pac-Man, join the fucking call. If you're gonna say cap every fucking 5 seconds.
Real quick though, because
in your
we're all
Join
over
in
the
there,
place.
John.
And we,
Well, it's not even a flaw.
Hold on, let Jerry go, because I kind of cut him
Oh.
off if you want to
Oh,
say
No,
it.
all I was gonna say is that whenever everything was going down, and we realized that our team was not good after the game had started, we tried making roster changes and getting different players. And when COVID happened and everything was set online, I was told by someone on management, not going to name names, that the year was chalked because of the COVID, and
Seattle
that
Bears
there
are
was
dog
not
shit.
going to be a
That's absolute dog
change,
shit.
and that the organization had stated that it was COVID. Collect our check. The year's chalked. I was
Now,
told
listen,
those
I
exact
do know
words
that they
from
were going through
management.
something
And I
over
promise
there
you on
in
everything
that
I was.
camp.
So that's why I got pissed the whole year when people would say,
I heard about
"Oh,
this.
why didn't you guys make changes? Blah 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 blah. Why are you putting up Panda Proto? Why are you doing this? Blaming Joey, blaming Sam, blaming whoever." It's like no one understood and no one could say anything at the
I
time
learned
of
after
what
the
was going
season
in
that
on
they
the
were going through some
backside
shit,
of things.
Jerry.
From
Yeah,
an
but I
heard about
also
organization
heard that you guys in like December weren't taking practice as seriously as you should, and you weren't setting your ear up correct. Am I false in saying that
No,
you guys
we weren't.
getting
No, yeah, no, we
110?
Hold on, I
weren't,
gotta
we
say
weren't,
something
bro.
real quick, bro.
That-
Why
that-
is
that
the
was-
chat saying
a
gatekeeping?
few
This
teams
isn't a
were doing that.
gatekeeping discussion. That we were talking about whether or not Seattle had an opportunity to get those amateur and young players, and they did, and they couldn't get it. And we were talking about whether or not they formed a
Ben,
good team in hindsight after that. And Ben was arguing the latter. So, like, we came to a conclusion by getting
know,
them in
I'm
here.
just
We're
arguing
not
the point
talking
about the
gatekeeping
fucking-
at all.
And I
I had to
understand
adjust
that
the
people were
chat.
frustrated that they played a different game than not, but that didn't stop other teams from trying their hardest to figure out
You
the game
were
and not
correct
sit on their
about
laurels.
that, Ben. But I was
Yeah,
just
and
stating the
I'm
fact
sure
of
you
the
won't make
roster
that mistake
changes
again.
and trying to pick up new talent.
What's
whatever
Austin
else.
saying? Austin's saying, and a few people are saying they were lied to. What does
Yeah,
that mean?
it's the maneuver that Pat's team pulled, where it's like, oh, we're just not going to practice. We're going to wait for them to fix the
Oh,
game,
yeah,
and they
that-
never fixed
yeah.
the
I mean,
game.
that's
we were-
fucking
we were-
fugazi.
That was the stupidest decision
Fucking
I think
fugazi.
of all time right
And
there.
also, people saying lakes about people putting lakes and shit about talking shit on Preston stuff, bro. When you get put into this fucking pro environment and everybody's toxic, it makes you toxic. Literally, I've had times where I was fucking toxic. I've had times where I was talking shit about people because I
did that to you?
I came into you did. I came into the scene feeling good, feeling positive, and I ended up coming out negative as fuck, fucking yelling at everybody. Like, it just brings out the worst in people. Everybody in this pro scene has talked shit on someone somewhere or another. So don't just say shit about Aches or anybody. Like, it happens, bro. It's just the pro scene is very toxic, and being in it for so long, I know how it works, and I'm sure Parasite knows how it works.
Yeah,
I'm sure
100%.
Nameless knows how it works, and Zinni and all these guys in here now.
To the rule book.
Yeah, Nameless started it. Slack knows.
Oh, it's toxic, bro.
It's just how it is, guys. It's just how it is.
People in the scene.
They try to tarnish your reputation.
Yeah, they fail
just
to.
want to come here and tell my
politics. It
point.
always is.
You guys all have a good day, all right? I'm out of here.
Hey, Slack, you're doing a pleasure.
Later, Dre.
Peace out,
Ben,
Jared.
can
Take it
I
easy,
wrap
fellas.
around
later,
back
bro.
to your
Yeah,
point, though?
go ahead.
Thank
go
you, bro.
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So the one flaw, though, there's a couple. I wouldn't even call it a flaw, I guess, but what you're saying about taking the shot in the dark, taking a risk, right?
Yeah.
There's two things. One, the amateur scene wasn't as evolved then as it is now. Like I said, because the pro players did play these teams, these young players in the past because it was these open style tournaments. But also the teams that were actually taking a risk were because they didn't have any other option. Like when you say the phase team that they built, none of those players in going into MW was a risk, right? Crim and Clay were fucked. They were fucked going into into MW. So they had to take a risk and join Kyler.
They took a great risk if you got to consider it. It's easy to say that in hindsight,
but it wasn't. But what I'm saying is,
it was clear right from the beginning of the game that
risk.
team was going to be good.
I know.
They were crushing people in practice at the beginning of the game.
Kyler's the one that took that risk because he was the superstar, and I'm sure he got
Kyler
way more offers.
Both of them. Yeah.
So he just naturally pulled them into a situation.
What I'm saying, right?
I feel like Clay outmaneuvered everybody, but go ahead.
Is Ben, if you were like in our shoes, right?
Yeah.
After Black Ops 4, okay. Me and Sam obviously had a very successful year. Sam was one of the best players. App did his app thing where once he got halfway through the season, he started turning up. That's his MO. Jerry had a pretty successful year. He was solid in it. Same with Damon. Even though that wasn't a team with all the shit that went on, like I said, we won the team with Alec and Envoy, and that's what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
But like, we didn't necessarily have to take a risk going into the game. You're right. You're right. Like teams, I think you're 1,000% right on like, if shit's not working out, you can clearly tell you got to take a risk. Like it's one of the reasons why I don't know why LAG did what they did this year, because you have, you have experience. But going into each game, anyone who takes a risk is because they have to, because no one else, no other top pro or pro wants to play with them at that period.
100%.
So when you say though, like when you're looking into it, like, oh, you thought our team was going to be ass, which is fair. There isn't a player you can name for those reasons, because the academy players, challenger players, whatever, they weren't as evolved as they are now. Maybe the players that are nasty right now weren't old enough, but like the young up and coming players, I guess you could say, and no disrespect to them, because I was getting capped or I was getting cooked. People were saying, "Hey, well, you were average as fuck at Black Ops 4." Exactly. If I was average as fuck, why would I team with another young player who is also average as fuck?
You were set up to play in a specific role on that Black Ops 4.
No, yeah, I know. I let the chat rock, but that's what I'm saying. And it's I wasn't trying to disrespect those players like Blast or Desi or Zap. Those were just some of the names that I thought of. But like,
they're all DMing me. Everybody wants it right out here. Everybody wants a fucking word.
This is a great discussion. We should go to the next one because we're going to circles.
Yeah, I think this is a core. I think what we have, and everybody in the chat has witnessed this.
Chat thought that was me talking.
This core argument on how you build teams is like an unsolved thing in both sports and esports.
That's the whole argument of it.
How do you
There's
take
so many
experience
ways.
versus risk with the young
Before we end this, I just want to say one thing. This is no disrespect to Rasim. I fuck with Rasim, but Ben said he would have taken Rasim over App.
Yeah, he's
That's
drunk.
you need to remember that.
No, I'm saying that's not what I said. I said that you guys explored.
Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, that is Slasher talking. Just so you guys know.
Also, wait, I want to speak a little bit about this. Not taking the game seriously. Bro, Ben, do you understand that when we showed up to play the game, there was 25 hills on a map? Like, do you understand hacking P5?
And also, how much money were you getting a year to play Call of Duty?
What the fuck does that mean?
What it means is that if I'm paying, I'm an owner, right, in the league, and I'm paying the salaries I'm paying, I'm expecting my players, regardless of the game is good or bad, to get on every day and try 100%. And a couple of teams got very frustrated.
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
Can I finish my point, please?
Go ahead.
A couple of teams in the league, when the game came out, it was clearly not in the greatest state, and it took a while to get there. They weren't grinding 100%. You know what happened to the teams that did grind 100% off the start of that year? They were some of the top teams at the end of the game. I'm looking at you, Dallas and Atlanta. It's not like those players got on just to chalk it. They got on every day and they try to figure out the game. That's my frustration with that approach also.
Sure.
I totally
But
understand
anyways,
you
bunch of low
upset
talent
about
Okay,
players
the
so
on that
game.
when I showed up to play the game, Hackney P5, right? You know what that is? That was Hill 18, and Hill 19 was right. Hill 19 was right upstairs. I kid you not. Right upstairs.
Yeah, that was actually funny though. I can't believe that was actually
the last day of the
a thing.
playtest. Well, first off, Hardpoint wasn't in the game. We had to beg on our hands and knees to get Hardpoint into the game, and then that's what they gave us.
They wanted us to play
Then the
headquarters.
last day, we're leaving, and I'm like, bro, there's 20 hills on a map. Like, what are you guys doing? I had to stay it was like me and a couple others, Pat, I forget who else, stayed an extra 3 hours drawing out on the maps where we should put the hills. And then they added that to the game. All right. Then domination, right? We're like, bro, this mode is not, there's no shot. We drew all where they should put the new flags. So they changed the hard points for us. Then we get into the season, right?
Yeah.
We remapped how to play, like where the dom flag should go. They said, all right, we're going to change this. So my team scrimmed hard point. We took hard point pretty seriously. We slacked off in dom. In hindsight, we shouldn't have done that. Obviously, that was a mistake. However, if they promised to change it and they changed hard point for us, what's wrong in assuming that they're going to change the flags?
No, you're not wrong. I think that disconnect was obviously a problem. My greater point is it didn't stop other teams from saying, you know what, it's a bad situation.
That's correct. They took advantage of it.
Let me still learn the game. And some teams got. I mean, Dallas is infamous last year that they got the game early and they absolutely grinded and they were good off the break. And yes,
just unlucky.
And also, wait, that take that like Clay and Krim out finessed everyone in like roster mania is just so false. That was a Kyler move.
Yeah,
that was a Kyler move. Kyler play. They were trying to. Krim and Clay were kind of in a bad spot. They had to take a risk.
That was my point.
Like, they didn't have another option.
They didn't finesse anyone. That was their. They got it right.
What were your guys' thoughts? Did you guys think going into the season that Shotzi and Illy maybe weren't going to be good players?
Shotzi was not great in the beginning of the season. He wasn't great, and then he got way better. And
but based
with
on
that
pure
mindset,
ceiling and figuring
if you're
out how
going
to
to say
get
that any player that won in another game should be a pro Call of Duty player, Mental should be on a pro team. We'll put Ogre 2 on a team. We'll put every single player who's won in a different game on a team.
At the end of the day,
it's all.
It doesn't just. It doesn't mean you're going to be great.
Here's a good
calculated risk.
Here's a good marker, which is Kyler had played in Halo, was fucking phenomenal in Halo, was good in God, and was phenomenal in COD, and clearly he trusted Shotzi's skill enough coming into Call of Duty that he was willing to take that risk. Because you have to remember,
it was all Kyler.
I remember that Kyler's team situation in the previous game was not that good. He took risks and it did not work out. So clearly he probably had a little bit of PTSD from the situation. He went to Splice. He got off of Envy for a little bit, came back. So I'm sure that was not a particularly easy decision for him, but it worked out. What I'm saying for the Seattle decision is, look, I know that you guys had players in your team that had won chips, that had experience, but at the same time, in that situation, what maybe guys should have done, and I know it's easy to say in hindsight, is maybe roll the dice. Yeah, it's tough to pass on someone like App or to pass on someone like Damon.
Actually,
Hang on. That's just not
an circles for
guys. Maybe
this is the argument.
Maybe the talent doesn't offset the chemistry issues that might happen.
Ben, do you know how good Apathy is? Like,
Ben, can I say something real fast?
Brian's very good. I'm not
that's
wrong.
like
Go
the
ahead.
best champs player of all time.
Everybody's sliding in and challenging.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Ben.
Now everybody's be nice to Brian, huh?
These risks that you're talking about, like even potential risks, were not a thing. I think that's the point that Ian's trying to make altogether.
That's the point we were trying to make an hour ago, but we're going in circles now.
Ben, you know me.
Why are we talking about Modern Warfare?
I'm all for the amateur talent. Like I'm always there. I watch these guys. There were none of them.
Proto.
Yeah,
they didn't fucking exist. It was
Nick and Casey. I picked up we picked them up on the sub spot.
This is Joey Nubsy, guys. This is Joey Nubsy.
We pick up Nick and Casey.
Fucking
Obviously,
loves
we
you in
know
the chat.
Them.
Put me on all
let's go, Ian, you beast. Like obviously we know. I know those guys are solid players. Like they're our friends too. Like I'm not gonna act like that didn't have anything to do with it. But we know those are solid players. Going into that, if there were better amateur players, I would like to argue that I think our team is one of 3 to 4 teams maybe that took their sub spots even remotely serious.
So was your team not willing to spend the sub money for like any of the 5 players in the Atlanta FaZe Academy roster? Like you weren't willing to pick up like Sib or any of the players that were playing?
Jerry told you management didn't.
I will speak solely on player availability at the time that we tried to make changes, and no, Sib was not someone that we were interested in.
Well, even at the time, are you saying at the beginning of the season?
Well, my beginning of the season argument, and it happened once again this year, is everybody's judgment on Asim's ability as a player is still mind-blowing to me. And
Bro,
I'm glad
he
that people have
wasn't
figured
that
out
great at Black Ops 4.
Wait, hold on, Joey.
And
Joey,
I love Seam.
Joey, I remember we had this conversation before because I was hanging out with like Hollow and them, and didn't you guys say there was a possibility of like multiple people from that like UIU circle getting picked up on your team that got shut down?
There was a point in the latter beginning to mid part of the season where I had strongly wanted to have like almost an entire amateur team.
Yeah, exactly.
And I respect that thought process.
Yeah, so it's like we've circled back so many times. At the beginning of the season, there wasn't very many, if at all, calculated risks Seattle could make.
Our team got built in a TeamSpeak channel in 15 minutes because there was no one else.
Later in the season, they 100% had options.
Were you under
they looked at options. They got shut down.
Were you under a deadline to have to lock in 5 players though? Like, could you have?
Like a league
again,
deadline?
I genuinely didn't know.
Ben,
Were you in a position where you
doesn't
could
matter.
five
They
players?
had 5 good players
The
though.
deadline was looking up. The deadline was looking up in the TeamSpeak channel and saying, "Oh wow, App's about to sign with Florida. Let's cut that off real fast."
Yeah.
Wait, Ben, I want names right now who you would put on that team over anybody on that team in the beginning of the game.
I've been waiting on this since you asked us an hour and a half ago.
I am begging you to name players that you'd put on there.
He said Blast. His answer was Blast.
No, Blast is not my answer. Blast is not my answer.
Well, that's what you said when we asked you initially, though.
I said, did you guys consider those players? If it were up to me, probably 2 of the players I would have wanted to look at.
Remember, this is over App. This is over
because
App,
I saw Asim.
This is over Damon and App.
This
is over Damon and App. Yeah, okay.
So talent does not equal that chemistry is going to work on a team.
I agree.
Putting
completely.
Damon in your team situation obviously didn't work out. That's the point I'm trying to make here.
Yes,
it's because Damon is nasty. He didn't fit with the personalities.
Yes. All right.
And that was a big problem that you guys had. Like, yes, your team obviously is the deck stacked against you, but then you guys weren't giving it the 110 you need to get there. So find some grinder players. I really like Decimate. He had a lot of really good opportunities before that. For some reason, every top tier pro in the Call of Duty scene doesn't rate Desi high. I don't quite understand it, but okay.
It's not that they don't rate him high. Wait, it's not that they don't rate him high. Yeah, Desi is a very good player. There's one thing that you have to realize, though, which is what I was talking about, is there's only a handful of pros legitimately that are top tier in every COD.
Okay.
Everyone else, depending on the game, they could be really good, and then the next year they're very average. And that's just how it is. I mean, I was literally one of them. There's only a couple players.
Mm-hmm.
Who
no matter
are
what
consistently
game, they could be really good.
I want to point out that JT had also come off of a not a hot season. Like, he was playing relatively solid throughout the mid to end of that last BO4 season, but looking at it in retrospect, sure, maybe he's a good pickup, but like, you're not really taking App over, or you're not taking JT over App in that situation. Like, 0 people are doing
Listen,
that.
if you don't pick up App there, you just
you're joking.
My issue with your team is not the App pickup. I think the problem with your pickup was the Damon pickup. I just felt like with the team that you guys had, that I didn't think that Damon was going to mesh well with that team. That's when you put that young player.
I look at it the same way. It was kind of the same issue that.
Just think of where Damon's coming from before that.
The original Hunter T team had with me, Jay, and Sam. They had Damon, Josiah, and Ian. Like, you can only have 2 of them. Same thing with our Hunter T team.
Pac-Man wants to join the speak, bro.
Ah, shit.
But then again,
can I say something? Yeah, we got Nato in here. We got Silly in here.
Hold on.
Nato, what was your team situation like at the beginning of the game?
I don't even want to talk about that. But first of all, people didn't think Modern Warfare was going to be the game that it was. Like, if people went into the game, playing the beta, whatever, some pros got to play it early in the off season. People thought the game was going to be a slower paced game, methodical game, you know what I mean? So people like build their teams based at least like a couple teams build their teams based off that. Like, obviously
Nato, can I piggyback off you real quick? Because I have something to help you. This is a prime example. This is a prime example, Ben, of what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So everyone thought it was going to be more methodical, right? You can't just run around with your head cut off.
Yeah.
Going into Black Ops or after Black Ops 4, Dylan, which I like Dylan, the fucking EU Dylan, was considered Dylan Cobb, one of the best players, right? So he wasn't even an option, obviously. He was on that team, whatever, I don't even know. All European. But if he was an option, why would I pick a player up like Dylan who is unbelievably talented. Definitely, like from what we saw in Black Ops 4, was unbelievably talented. But if I had the mindset that this game is going to be it's going to be slow, more methodical, more team based, why would I pick a player like him up who has no experience at the Call of Duty at the top level in any past CODs that have kind of had that same makeup over a player like Karma?
Why wouldn't you pick up a player like Alex? You know what
Can I point something out real quick?
We're
going in, guys.
Wait, one last thing.
We got to move on topic.
Yeah.
I just want to add.
All right, go ahead, Ian, add, but this is the last thing because we're just going in straight circles. This is all opinionated shit on how to build a team.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Goes back to what I said. Dylan was considered by a lot of people to be like a top 5 player in Black Ops 4. In MW, it was a slower game. He was not the player that he was in Black Ops 4. It's so hard to judge that, Ben, because the game switches every year.
That was also a grapple.
Yeah, but I'm watching a Black Ops 4. Dylan run around.
The grapple was a huge part of what made him
a player. Dylan was also an island player, just causing havoc.
You're right. That's all I wanted to say, though. Is
I have one last
now, Ben, can you concede and admit that me and Zin were right?
No, I won't, because it's a fundamental difference.
All right. Okay, calm down. Zinny's got the mic. Zinny's got the mic. Go ahead.
Last question.
Go ahead, Zinny.
Ben, you are saying going into MW, you would pick up Alex over Apathy or Damon Karma Barlow.
The issue is that it's not about one player in a vacuum. The problem that people make when they build teams is you gotta think about how 4 or 5 players mesh together as a team, because talent and no chemistry is not going to get you W's. Mediocre talent or average or slightly above average talent and really good chemistry is going to get you a good team. Look at everybody discounted Minnesota at the beginning of last year. Everybody discounted Gen G team when they were really good for an entire year. Chemistry is really important. And I feel like too often when people build teams, they do not think about chemistry, people's work ethics, and how they mesh with each other.
You don't know about the chemistry yet until you play together. Like, you don't know. Like, it goes back to what we said. You're making a team before a game comes out. How can you actually gauge the game, gauge the team's chemistry before you've given a chance? The only thing you could argue is that they should have used every team should have used their substitute spots better.
Yep, that's 100% true.
Joey, what are you talking about? You're sitting on the bench right now. What the fuck are you doing on the bench, Joey?
Oh God, everybody.
All right, everyone knows they're.
But listen, I would love to put a pin in this conversation and come back to it, because I think there's a lot of this is like all team composition stuff that people never talk about. People never talk about.
Listen. Okay. Let me talk. All right, now I got the fucking mic. Listen, at the end of the day. There's different ways to build a roster, different thoughts, different opinions. Everybody's gonna agree to disagree. You know, when people are talking, you see lots of lens, lots of wins, lots of linnies, lots of winnies. Like, it's just, guys, there's just so many different ways to look at it. But
lots of linnies today. It's noted.
But that's
noted.
That's why it was such a good conversation. Honestly, I thought this was a great conversation.
This is good.
I thought it was a really good conversation. I got Silly in the call, man. Silly, you wanted to come in here and say a few words. What's going on with you, big guy?
I've been gone all day. You know, I've been seeing bits and pieces. I heard you guys talking about speed and comparing it to like the likes of FaZe and Dallas, which awesome. It's great. But do you think there's a limit to the speed, or do you think just running around shooting everybody constantly is exactly what a team needs?
Okay, can I go?
You take this one, Tom.
I'll take this one. That's not what I mean by speed, running around. I said that yesterday on the show. I don't mean just running around. I'm talking about decision making and teamwork and pacing around the map, just how people are working off each other around the map. Like, there's definitely a clear as day, Justin, when you're looking at your team and a team like FaZe and Dallas. It's clear as day when you're looking at the pacing and the plays that are being made on the map. It's just you know what I'm saying?
To add on to that,
I know. Good job.
So if we even look at, like, let's just say breaking point, that's easily accessible to everybody. So the likes of like Shotzi, Huke, BZ, Synth, they're averaging between 44 to 46 per 10 minutes. All right, so I'm at 43, so I'm 2 or 3 off of them per 10 minutes, and then
you just fucking gas himself.
No, we talked about
this. No. Wait, let him go.
And then Reese is at like, I don't know, 51 to 53. So obviously it's a huge difference between us and him, but he also has a huge difference between him and the other fast sub players. So we're like,
we talked about this.
It's like, it's not even close. When to slow down.
Wild.
And I don't. That stat has been talked about a lot, like the interaction thing. But the interactions don't always mean that it's a good stat. Like, there's times to slow down, there's times to play fast.
I agree with that
but
too.
interactions doesn't equal. So I have 2 points here. One is a point and one is a question, Justin. If you don't want to answer the question, that's fine. But one is there's a flaw with that engagement stats, because you got to think about assists and you got to think about interactions, which the analysts can't track, where you shoot at someone and you both run away and you don't kill each other. That is not something that's counted. It's an unfortunate problem that we don't have the data right now to track those. Otherwise, that stat would be more accurate.
I mean,
my second question to you, Justin, is totally understand if Reese is playing too fast. Is that a topic that you guys had broached with him, and what was his response if you had broached that question with him?
So with Reese, I definitely just feel like I'm sure everybody knows by now that me and Adam definitely have a way we want to play, or just the team altogether. And you know, the coaches are obviously a fan of playing fundamental. Like that's their whole thing, like trying to play the correct way. And you know, Reese has definitely tried to work on it, but still in matches and in scrims and stuff, we end up on a different pace. And to add on to where you're talking about assists and how it could be a little skewed, I wouldn't even have brought up the breaking point stats, but they're so heavily, like he's so heavily above everybody in all of those stat categories. I feel like it's just like a clear-cut thing to point out that it might be a little too fast across the board. And yeah, it's definitely something we've touched on quite a bit. And I don't want anybody to think there's ever a scenario where me, Adam, and App are like, hey, yeah, fuck this Reese guy, he's ass, or anything like that.
I mean, we didn't. None of us said that. That's what it was like. I mean, clearly there was a fallout between you guys. I don't know if there was a fallout between you three and Reese, or maybe Reese and management, but I don't think it was you guys being like, this guy's shit, let's get him off the team. You know what I'm saying? I think there was just something else there. But Justin, like, going back to things, like, do you honestly think this change is gonna help you guys?
This change completely came out of nowhere. Obviously, I can't touch on it too much past what everybody is, you know, posted so far, but completely came out of nowhere. We are on limited practice, but we're hoping that it's going to be it's going to help us out in the long run, because it's what we're left with right now.
The announcement actually said that Reese had the option to stay on the team, I'm pretty sure.
He benched himself.
Yeah, so
Did
basically the way it looks like is he benched himself. So he just didn't want to play.
I don't think that's what the video said.
I swear it said. I swear it said the video.
Not what the video said.
I swear the video said that he had the option to stay on the team.
He hasn't. Well, there was a second part. He said there was an option to stay on the team, but then it was mutually agreed later on that it would be more beneficial.
So,
I don't remember
Vivis
that
said he
part.
wants to come on. Get him on.
If he wants to, he can.
Get him in.
He's in here.
While you get him in here, this is just a conversation I want to have. Do you think it's easier to make someone that's, I guess, quote unquote, playing too quick?
Don't drag him. He's talking.
Do you think it's easier to make someone that's, I guess, playing too quick by your standards to slow down, or do you think it's easier to get people to, I guess, speed up? Because I personally think getting someone to slow down is a lot easier than necessarily getting an entire team to speed up. Because speeding up an entire team would mean that your team understanding, your individual player understanding reaches a level where you make quicker decisions. And I feel like if a player is making a lot of decisions, making them a lot quicker, it's a lot easier to slow those down into more calculated decisions.
And just to add on to that, just 10 seconds. Speeding up doesn't mean fucking run, gun. Just keep fucking sprinting and dying and going. I'm talking about just team dynamic, moving around the map, making plays together quicker. You know, just instead of just playing. But you get what I'm saying.
No hezzy, bro.
Yeah,
Can I respond to that, Chris? I think that's such a hard thing to gauge, because that comes to actually watching, you know, X players' point of view. Because Vivid obviously has like the highest engagement in the league, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at someone like Priesta with Minnesota, when people were saying they had a pacing issue, Preston was too fast. Like, you can't really tell just by the stats if Vivid was maybe making the correct plays being that fast, but Silly and them were too slow, or if he was just fucking running around with his head cut off.
And
you know what I'm saying? So it's hard to just say what's harder, what's easier, because it really just depends on the situation.
What the hell, Chris?
I would ask. I have a question, which is like two practical examples, and maybe there are more examples we just know about them. So please let me know if I'm missing any of like players trying to slow down and it didn't work out. Was the Minnesota team last year? I know for a fact, Basin was here, would speak to it. Was definitely playing too fast. He tried to slow down, but the team was still struggling, and that didn't work.
Yeah,
and then
so that's a good example.
And then the situation with Preston this year on Minnesota, obviously totally different players to the team last year, where he tried to slow down, and they went 0-6 in map count, made the Sandy change, and they got better. So from like your POV, Justin, what are you guys switching up maybe your tactics a little bit with the Sheena move? Is there other moves you're trying to make other than just trying to fill the hole in the roster now?
So first of all, just to touch on the Minnesota thing last year, Asim is pretty much in a scenario last year, which Asim like me and like going to this year, the one person that me and Adam were willing to play with off our team last year is Asim. Great player, great teammate, all around. But he was in a situation where anybody running a sub was way slower than him. We had pretty much 2 main ARs on our team last year. And to comment on the extremes of being too fast or too slow, we had Goddard, who was pretty much like the slowest player in the league last year, even though he fried a lot of the time. And I feel like it's definitely hard to get people down from those two extremes, but I definitely think it is easier to kind of slow people down a little bit rather than speeding them up, especially when it's like a one-person, issue.
Yeah, got you. That's all I just wanted to ask you.
I mean, listen, at the end of it, Justin, I wish you guys the best of luck. I mean, I was saying it before. I love everybody on your team. I respect you guys. I respect LA Gorillas. I personally just didn't like the change, but I don't know what's going on behind the scenes at the on the team.
Yeah, and you guys talk.
I poked Reese. I said, "Do you want to join?" He never answered. Ben ended up dragging him in, and he left. Listen, we're not gonna force guys. We're not gonna force anybody on the show. We're not gonna force. If people want to come on and speak their mind, they can. But we're not gonna put somebody on the spotlight and force them to speak. But I think Reese said there was too many heads. Listen, I think we had a good fucking talk, man. We've been going on for hours.
It was like a 3-hour show.
Yeah, this was a super flank for sure.
This is a real long ride of a show, Tom.
Listen, man, we're gonna be live again tomorrow, guys, with the flank right after the games. Yeah. So I think we're gonna cut it here. All right, go ahead.
Before we go,
I need a last word as well.
Ben Nissim said he'd rather blast over Apathy or Damon
Karma. That is at no point.
I will blast over Damon. It's crazy.
All right, whatever. Yeah. Justin, what do you want to say?
And just to touch on any of my former teammates or even Reese, obviously I wouldn't have been playing with them if I didn't think they were great players. I just wanted to kind of touch on the interaction thing in case people haven't looked into it that much. And definitely want to play with Reese, still want to play with Reese. So no hard feelings to anybody. Just wanted to clear the air a little bit.
I mean, before we get off, Reese, do you want to come on? If I get everybody out of here and it's just me and you, would you come on? What's going on here, buddy? Because I'm a little bit confused. I'm getting mixed signals here. So just let me know. And if Reese wants to come on, we'll get him on right now. But I'll just kick everybody out. Not in a bad way. You guys just got to get out of here. I'm going to end the show, Reese.
Come in here with me
if he does whatever he wants to do. He's right there in the other call. I poked him 3 times. Ben dragged him in here, I think, and he ended up leaving.
Reese doesn't want to come on.
He's shitting his pants.
No, he's probably just. It's a very.
He's gotta be careful. I can't believe Ben tried to say Clay and Crim finesse though.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I also don't really agree with
it fell in their lap.
With the Damon Apathy thing. I think App is like, I don't know. We need to start putting a little bit more respect.
Yeah, come on.
But I mean, guys, just thank you for an amazing show. Thank you for everybody who came on. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. We're now on Apple Podcast, or what's it called, Ben?
Yeah, we're listening to Apple Podcasts now.
And Spotify.
If you're curious about platforms, I believe it's anchor.fm/theflank. I'll link it on Twitter again. I tweeted out this morning, but we're on all platforms now. So if you're ever on the go, want to listen to the audio version, we'll upload it usually the morning after. Yep. And we're gonna do 6 shows in a row now because we're gonna do shows for 4 days. So we'll have an episode up each morning for you guys to tune in and listen. If not, you can always check it out on YouTube on youtube.com/Zoomaa.
100%, man. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow after the matches ASAP. So make sure to follow the fucking stream, all right? I'll see you guys in here.